This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio with Stuart Cameron.
Hello and welcome to Rugby Radio. Today we're live from Netherdale for a very special match marking the 150th anniversary of Gala Rugby Club. A Gala select team are taking on the South of Scotland today at 3 o'clock, and it's an historic match because the South have never taken on a border side ever in the past, so it's something unique. And right away we're going to go pitch side and bring in Hugh Brown. And Hugh, you do get the kind of impression that this is a rather special celebration day.
It is, Stuart. It's all about the entertainment this afternoon. We're expecting a really big crowd to pack the stand here at Netherdale, and it really is an exciting time for the club. 150th anniversary, as you mentioned. They've got their own Gala Sevens next Saturday here at Netherdale that of course we'll be covering here on Rugby Radio. So all in all, today's match, which is I suppose a showcase for a lot of players actually on both teams, not just for Gala but for the South as well, because as we'll hear a wee bit later on from the South coach Sesh Henderson, he has brought in 8 debutants today to the team for the South, which is a great chance for them to prove their worth in the inter-district South side.
Absolutely. Now, plenty of players out there today who want to make this a bit of a spectacle, I think, isn't it? I mean, in recent weeks we've seen things like Scotland 50, France 40. We've seen big matches between Curry and Embrackis, 57-48. I think we're going to get something similar today, but the weather is a little bit dreek.
I think it will be a good game. I think it will be a close game. I think it will give a chance for so many players, as I mentioned, to actually show what they're worth, and actually there might be some surprises coming into both the Gala and the South team through the afternoon in terms of who comes on as replacement.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, that's for sure. And you have a maroon man with you who knows quite a bit about the history of the club as well, don't you?
I certainly do. I've got Gordon Keddie with me, and Gordon is historian, if you like, for Gala Rugby Football Club. Gordon, 150 years of history. It's a lot of history, isn't it?
Oh, it certainly is, yes. It's anybody reaching a milestone of 150 years is a fantastic achievement in the world of rugby, especially with the turmoils of professionalism and all the rest that's went on over the last years. For an amateur club to reach 150 years is a fantastic achievement.
It is indeed. Founded in 1875, but actually started out as Gala Football Club, as many of the early clubs did, because rugby, as we know it today as rugby union, didn't exist.
That's correct, yes. It was the name was Gala Football Club, as you've already said, and believe it or not, we started off due to the young men at the cricket club, who were mostly Yorkshire men, who wanted something to do in the winter, and rugby was their option. There was already a football club in the town, so they opted for rugby, and that's where Gala Rugby Club started from.
And actually they were one of the clubs who took part in the very first Melrose Sevens back in 1883.
They did indeed, yes, because earlier to that there had been a breakaway from some of the Melrose lads to form the Melrose Club, and as we know, in 1883 Ned Haig started the Melrose Sevens. Gala took part in it and got beat in the final with the host side.
And as far as Netherdale's concerned, they've been here for over a century. I think it was 1912 they moved away from Mossy Lee to here at Netherdale.
They actually started in the public park, as we know it today, where in the centre of the town, and moved to Mossy, and obviously there was a feeling that there was fewer people starting to attend because of the climb up to Mossy, and obviously pretty cold up there in the winter, I would think, so they looked for new premises, and they moved down here over where the Fairydean actually play today. I think it was 1912 they moved down, and then they moved across here in the 1960s, and this has been their home ever since.
There have been a lot of highs and lows in that 150 years. I suppose one of the highs was when the club won the Division 1 title.
That was their best spell. They've been runners-up 8 times, believe it or not, but they've won the Scottish Division Championship once, and they only won the Scottish Unofficial Championship once in their history, which was 1931-32 season.
There's been a lot of Scotland internationals have been produced by Gala over the years. I suppose we can think of people like Gregor Townsend, Chris Paterson, but who would you single out, do you think?
That's a difficult one. My favourite player when I was a young boy watching here was Jock Turner. Jock was our first internationalist for quite a few years, and then he went on to be a British Lion. But Jock was one of my favourite players to watch. Probably one of our finest fortnights in our international was when we had 6 Gala players played at Twickenham for the first time. Peter Brown, Jock Turner, Doug Paterson, Nair McEwen, John Frame, Arthur Brown got his first cap, and they won at Twickenham for the first time in many a long time. And then the following week they beat England in the centenary match at Murrayfield. So that was one of probably the proudest moments as far as international rugby is concerned. We've had 51 internationalists. It was 47, but as you know, last year the Scottish Rugby Union issued retrospective caps and took the total to over the 50. So 51 caps in 150 years isn't a bad effort.
That's pretty good. I know you're writing a book about the history of Gala, and when's that due out, do you think?
I'll hopefully get it out for the beginning of next season. We'll see this season through, get it finished. I've just the photographs to fit into it and all the rest of it, and then hopefully it'll take off after that.
We look forward to seeing it in the autumn. Gordon, thank you very much indeed for joining me this afternoon on Rugby Radio.
You're most welcome.
Gordon Keddie, historian for Gala Rugby Football Club, Stuart.
Well, plenty of history to cram into 150 years, as he says. Some wonderful achievements for the Maroons. Ewen Swinton, of course, is a former Gala director of rugby and a member of our team here on Rugby Radio. And we call him Mr. Positive because he's always looking on the bright side. But this week, it won't have escaped anyone's notice that the Border League ground to a bit of a halt with the final batch of games scrapped and the league ending up as a 4-way tie. Now, Ewan's with Hugh now to chat about this, and will no doubt try his best to keep a positive spin on things, but there's certainly things to discuss. So over to you, Hugh.
Well, Ewan, I mean, you are known as Mr. Positive, but I imagine with the shambles that the Border League has been this season, it's difficult to say much good about it, or can you?
Well, I think that's a fair comment. I think everyone is slightly cheesed off at the way that things have worked out and the logics behind the way that things have worked out, Hugh. But I think that what's done is done, and the best thing is to focus on the future and to remember what the Border League means to our community and to so many in it, and focus on ways to make that connection a bit more real in terms of how it appears in the clubs and amongst the players.
I suppose the critical question, Ewan, is there an appetite for the Border League from the players?
That's a really good question, because there is definitely an appetite for the Border League, and funnily enough, yes is the answer to your question, but when is probably the question that comes back. So the time that they are being asked to play, and with the lack of notice that's often involved, the answer has often been no, there isn't a real appetite. But then you feed guys into a situation where a competitive match emerges with a decent crowd, as was the case here at Netherdale a few weeks ago when Hoyt played Gala. When you put boys in that situation, then they love it. Often they're not looking forward to it, if I'm being honest. But yes, the appetite exists if the environment and the timing is correct.
One of the decisions that was taken was that bonus points and points difference were taken away, in good faith, I suppose it has to be said, but has it backfired? Because it would have at least given us an outright winner. As it stands, we've got 4 clubs sharing the Border League title. Yeah,
well, you're absolutely right, and yes, there's an argument, and yes, there always was an argument. However, there was a good logic. It was done in good faith. The outcome that's emerged this year it's unfortunate. It looks ridiculous, and I think those of us involved are conscious of how that plays to the wider public. But I don't think it was a mistake in the context of what was intended, but maybe it's one of these things from which you take lessons and you think, well, how well has it worked, and do we need to tweak again? And I suspect that tweaking again will be a feature of the future.
One of the options that's being put forward is that Peebles should withdraw from the Border League, and we'll hear about that later on actually from Graeme Paterson, their coach. But if they stayed, they'd have to play 3 games against Gallagher and Selkirk and commit to that. And if they do that, then you could be looking at a couple of semi-finals and a final. And the Border League final was always very popular.
Yeah, and I think it can be popular again. It would have been popular this year if it had been made to work as it could have been. It's a good question. Peebles' withdrawal has to be at Peebles' will. I think there's no appetite to say to Peebles, you cannot participate. I think for next season, to find a way to give us a plan and a conclusion that will be satisfactory to most, I think it would be neater and tidier if Peebles were withdrawn. But no one in the Border League that I'm aware of has an appetite to force that issue and put Peebles in a position that they don't want to be in. However, they do need to cooperate with all the others and find ways to play games if they're going to continue.
Yes, and those games don't always have to be on Saturdays, it seems to me.
Oh no way! There was a great example of that on Thursday night. The Border Junior League final, which again has had its challenges. The Border Junior League Cup final was a great occasion, played on a Thursday night. Two good teams going hammer and tongs, very competitive match. Decent crowd that would have shamed many a Premiership or a Nat 1 game, and it showed that there is an appetite and an ability to play these games with a bit of thought and consideration put into it.
Ewan, we'll keep talking about the Border League in just a second, but I want to just very quickly ask you about your as Operations Director for the South. Today's game, it's a special spectacle for the crowd that come in for the two teams. Do you think South will win it? I
think that Gala have put together a very competitive team with some big hard guys in amongst them. Bruce McNeil will want to put one over on the South, I'm quite sure. I honestly don't know. You would hope, given that the South is a select team, and we still have over half of the original selection and some very good lads coming in, some coming back who've played before. So the South are a decent combination, a good side, and they're well motivated. However, this is a big day for Gala Rugby, and there are a lot of good young players at Gala who are out there today who've missed many games during the season, and this to me is probably one of the strongest groups of players, if not the strongest, that Gala have put out all season. So there's no way that I would predict a defeat for them. I think that what we're looking for is for both teams to play in the spirit of rugby and give Gala a really good celebration game to be proud of.
Let's hope you're right. Ewen Swinton, thank you very much indeed for joining me this afternoon here on Rugby Radio. We're going to continue our chat about the Border League now and bring in our commentary team this afternoon for this match between the Gala Select and South, and that is Iain Herd and Robin Purdie. Robin, you heard what Ewan had to say. He thinks there is an appetite for the Border League. Do you agree?
Oh, it's a good question, Hugh. We've been over this ground a few times in recent years. I don't know, Hugh, to be honest. I think it's probably now run its course, if I'm being candidly honest. It pains me to say that, of course, but there's only so many times you can keep flogging a dead horse for me. But as I've said before, as I'm on record as saying, I'll always go with whatever the players want. To me, canvass the players. Anybody can be considered to be a first team player in the 7 or 8 teams or however many it is, ask them, do you still want to play in the Border League, and take a majority decision. But for me, it's hard to see a way back for it for me, Hugh.
Iain Herd, what's your thoughts?
Slightly different to Robin. Again, I would like to see the players asked. I think we want to keep this going. It's one of the big things that the Borders has, is they have the Borders League. It's one of the oldest leagues in the world, if not the oldest league in the world. For me, they've got to find a way of making it happen. So use what you've already got, make it fit in. If that then gives us the opportunity in 2 or 3 years' time where playing numbers are back up again and there's a bigger appetite to play, then fair enough. But the teams play each other in the leagues. Is there a way? And I know Stuart put something together the other day that was sort of circulated on social media, and there's a bit of certainly some mileage in that from my point of view, is that we have the games being played anyway, so why not just fit the Border League into those games? And if it means we get a final and we get a decent crowd and a decent night, then that would be fantastic.
And would you have double headers then, Iain?
Yeah, absolutely. The games are there already. If you look at it, you've got the 3 Premier teams, the 3 national teams. You've also got Gala versus Melrose on Boxing Day. Doesn't make any difference that it then becomes a Border League game. Why not just fit the game? So make every game that happens anyway, make it a Border League game, and then potentially you've either got no other games to fit in, or if you do something slightly different, you've got a few games to fit in.
But Robin, as we've mentioned, Peebles and Jed Forrest, amongst others, have struggled this season to put out a team on the pitch.
They have, Hugh, and to me that signals that there is there's possibly a lack of appetite from players. You can't put a gun to players' head and say that you need to play these games, and they can get squads of 20 guys out for league games, it would seem, but there's just in those clubs it would seem there's just not the appetite from the players to make it for Border League games. They don't have the squads as some of the other teams. But going back to what Iain said and what Stuart has put together, for me that is the only way it can potentially have life breathe back into it. The format that Stuart proposed, and then I guess if that doesn't work, I don't know where it goes from there. And I completely get it about, it's the oldest league in the world, etc., etc. But there comes a point and times move on, and let's see what happens next season. But it needs some kind of life, breathed right into it to make it work.
Because obviously I think that the main problem this year is the fact that you've got 7 teams all having to play each other, and when they're in different leagues, etc., it makes it very, very difficult indeed. At least next year, when we know we've got 3 in the Premiership, we've got 3 in National 1, and that gives you an opportunity. And even if Peebles are still involved, then at least Peebles have to play 3 games. But it would be quite nice as well to have home and away for the teams in the Premiership. That's if Peebles decide that they do want to drop out. But of course, we want to hear the Peebles point of view, and earlier in the week we got that reaction from their head coach, who is of course Graeme Paterson.
Peebles obviously been involved in a few of those decisions round about games being cancelled. I must stress that Peebles aren't the only club that's involved in that as well, but it's not great for us. We never like conceding a game or cancelling a game or postponing a game, and it's only done with good reason in terms of, usually player availability is the biggest issue, and I think it's come at a really poor season for us in terms of how it's manifested itself. Peebles getting relegated last year meant that we were the kind of standalone border club in National 2, so all our games in the Border League had to be played as standalone fixtures as well. Puts an extra pressure on us. Our resources were extremely stretched this year due to injuries, and that just took its toll in the period when we were supposed to be playing Border League games, whether that was during Six Nations time or at the end of the season here. Extremely disappointing for us, as a club, as individuals, as the players. We appreciate that we are the last ones in the door in terms of the Border League, so we need to try extra hard. It's not ideal. How do we fix it? There's a whole host of ideas that could be come up with. Do Peebles remain in the Border League? I certainly hope so. It's something that I would like as a coach. Put teams out and test them. Playing against Premiership teams is always a massive test for us. Unfortunately, within Border Rugby, there's always an element, and not even Border Rugby, in all rugby, there's an element of self-interest as to what do you want to look after? Do you want to look after your own interests, or do you look after the wider interests? And that's always a difficult one to break down. But for us, certainly we would like to remain in the Border League, challenge ourselves next season to get back up into National 1, which would make it maybe a bit easier in terms of fixture congestion, and look at ideas and explore ideas with the other clubs to see how best we can approach this. I'm a great advocate of pulling the season forward, starting at the beginning of August, finishing the league by Christmas. You maybe have a bit of a break in January, and then during those Six Nations times we could play Border League fixtures, and that's ultimately what we want to do, is keep the tournament going, make it a credible one, but maybe look at how we can change it for the better. As some people have alluded to, maybe the interest has gone away from the Border League, so how best do we get the eyes back on it to watch these guys go out and play some good rugby.
So that's Graeme Paterson, head coach of Peebles. And just Robin and Iain, just briefly, having heard the Peebles point of view as well, your own final thoughts on the Border League?
Yeah, it's tough for Peebles because they're the outlier in terms of the division that they've found themselves in. So, don't get me wrong, Stuart, it would be far, far, far from ideal for Peebles not to be in it, of course. But they are one of the clubs that have had fixtures cancelled, so it's up to them. I guess they need to decide what they want to do.
Yeah, I agree with Robin there, and I think the difficulty is that, yes, they've had injuries this season, they've had unavailability. Would that happen again next year? Would it happen again the year after? At some point, somebody somewhere's got to make a decision, because if they just keep on doing what they're doing just now, it's just going to disappear in significance of its own accord. I would far rather see they make a decision, stick with that decision, and we go there from season 26, 27 onwards.
OK, well, let's put the Border League to bed for the moment and concentrate on what's happening today with the 150th anniversary match between a Gala Select 15 and the South of Scotland. Earlier today, Hugh Brown spoke with both head coaches, Sesh Henderson for the South and First Gala's Ewen Robbie.
Ewen, this is a very exciting year for Gala Rugby Club, isn't it?
Yeah, 150, it's a big celebration today, actually. And I was just thinking about it, and the fact that sometimes in rugby now we maybe lose sight of the spirit of rugby factor things, and everyone said, yeah, results are really important, but on a day like this, I mean, it's going to be a good game of rugby, I think.
It's not been the best of seasons for Gala in the National League Division 1, but this is a chance to showcase the team against the South today to a large crowd.
Exactly, and it'll give our lads a little push. I think it'll, playing at home, we're like a different team, to be perfectly honest. We are. And but the extra buzz of challenge, it's always good for a player to have a challenge, and a bit fear factor. I know it's not as strong as the first published team, but it's still strong. South, it's all Premiership playing guys, and it's a good challenge. Yes, we've got a couple of guys to help us out, and I think the occasion is probably the most important thing. There's a big full tent across there of boys that have graced the pitch and everything, so that's talking about that's a good thing as well. So.
And of course, next weekend you've got your own sevens here at Netherdale, so the next couple of weeks are going to be really, really exciting and big and huge for the club.
Good. I think it's good for every club. It's how do you sell your rugby club to the public to get more people in, get more supporters, get more sponsors, get more kids playing rugby, more families playing rugby or being involved, and because I think that's like that. Certainly for me and some other people, I know a mental affiliation with a rugby club is really important, and a lot of times that comes through your family.
And as far as the team is concerned, do you think you've put a team out on the park this afternoon that can beat the South?
Remains to be seen, but there's certainly some quality players on the bench. I mean, even Jack Harrison from Peebles, quality player. He's a good player, Jack. Jordan Edmonds and Goff Lockhart. And of course we've got Wiley, Bruce McNeil on the bench as well. So, and it's good. Craig's probably nearing his end as well. Craig Keddie. So it's good for him. Jordan played a lot with him. He's quite pally with Jordan. So Jordan wanted to kind of play in this game. And Michael Angus, that'll be his last game as well at tight head prop. But I think it's good for local players as well to play. Have these boys coming in and and Russell Anderson, of course, who used to play at Gala, and Luke Petty. They've been going over some old stories of when they played, so it's been quite entertaining downstairs.
Sesh, this is a very important game this afternoon for the South and for Gala.
Oh, I think so. You've got a 150th anniversary. You've got to be pretty excited to be involved in that, and being head coach of the South is a little bit extra for myself. But more importantly, is we go out there and put a big performance in, because for 3 big games with the South, the IDC, we played very well, but we didn't want our standards drop today and put a performance in.
Yes, the team were very unlucky not to win the IDC, just losing on points difference to Glasgow in the West.
Yeah, that's just the way it goes. We can't complain at that, but I think we improved in each game. I think the boys have really enjoyed it. The Jailers have scored very quickly, even though the games were quite wide apart. But it was a lot of encouragement going forward for the South when the IDC continues.
How difficult has it been for you to choose the team, the squad for today? Because you've got a lot of guys to choose from across clubs. Have you had a tough task doing that?
It's been a bit challenging this week just because of a few call-offs, and I guess that's just because of a lot of farming going on. The guys got niggles after the season, so look, we were prepared for that. But the guys have come in, they played top-end Premiership rugby, most of them, and I'm excited to see them make their debut for the 8 of them are going to make their debut for the South today. That's
a huge number, actually, 8 making a debut, isn't it?
8 out of 23, why not? Let's just see what they've got. When you play high level, then you've got to challenge yourselves and put them on the pitch and give them game time and see how they get on.
And as far as Gala are concerned, they've changed from being a Gala Presidents to a Gala Select. Do you think they could bring in more of the well-known Gala players?
Well, they've got a strong squad, and they've got a strong squad anyway, and because they've finished the season very highly, with some really good strong performances, and they brought 5-6 guys in, to join the celebrations of the game, and why not? And this will make it a good spectacle for everybody to watch.
It's great to see the South back in action, though, after a good few years dormant, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. Everybody loves the South, and it grows excitement with the whole of the South, the border region, and everybody hope they get a good support for both sides today.
What about the result then? How do you think it will go? Will it be a close game, do you think?
I think it'll be an open game. Look, we don't want to get beat. Let's just put it on the line. I don't want to get beat in my last game for the South. So the guys don't want to get beat. But we need to perform to do that, and we can't expect this to go to happen. We've got to go out there, put 80 minutes in, everybody, the twitchy guys in, and hopefully we'll get on the winning side.
I'm sure it'll be a good game. I have to ask you, you're wearing your Selkirk beanie hat today, but you finished with Selkirk. This is your last game with the South. What's next for Sesh Henderson?
I'm not very sure, to be honest. But look, well, if something comes up over the summer and it's something that interests me and I can make a difference, then I'll think about it, but right now I'm not very sure what's going to happen.
There we are, both head coaches, Sesh Henderson and Ewen Robbie, speaking earlier with Hugh Brown. Well, the time has come for a very special match, the very first time the South have ever played a game against another Borders side. And our commentary team for you today, Iain Hurd, and first of all, Purdie.
Thank you, Stuart, and welcome to Netherdale for it's a different type of occasion for Rugby Radio here today as we look forward to a match that marks 150 years of Gala Rugby. This place has seen some great vintages over the years and produced some world-class players, and it is fitting that their opponents to mark the occasion today are the South themselves, one of the great iconic teams of Scottish club rugby. So looking at the lineups, Gala Select, as they are known today, have Cammy Bryden at 15, Ben Gill and Richie Mitchell are on the wings. The centres are John Turnbull and guest Regan Malloy. Hamish Seggy is at 10 with Kai Jones at 9. Front row are Gav Fisher, Conor Mackay and Michael Angus. The middle row is Mac Rutherford, who's back from Edinburgh Rugby, and Glenn McCrum, with loose forwards being Hoykes, Russell Anderson, Robbie Irvin and skipper Craig Keddie. For the South, Charlie Welsh is at fullback today, Ben Pickles and Don Crawford are the wingers, Brodie Allen and captain Andrew Mitchell are the centres, with Hugo Alderson and Kyle Brunton at 9 and 10. Grant Paxton, Ewan Knox and Bruce Riddle form the front row. Gary Young and Jack Fisher are the boiler house, with the back row made up of Sam Derrick, Taylor Wilson and the hugely impressive Connor Sutherland. Malcolm Chang Leng is today's ref, with his ARs being his brother David and Bob Nevins. And alongside me today is a man who many might have hoped to see out in the middle at some point this afternoon, but Iain Hurd, the old knees are sadly no longer capable.
Unfortunately not, Robin. It would have been nice, although to be fair, it's not the nicest of days. It's a bit wet, it's a bit cold, so probably the best place for me these days is sit in the back chatting away with yourself.
And I'm more than happy to have you here, because the millionaire shortbread that you produced earlier on was nothing short of outstanding. So what are we hoping for today? In some ways it'll have an end of season friendly feel to it, but I'd like to think there'll be some competitive edge.
I think these type of games, you've got two teams that want to win first and foremost. South won't want to lose this game because they're supposedly the best of what's available in the Borders, and Gala want to put on a performance for their support today, and I think it's going to be a really enjoyable game of rugby. I think both teams will want to throw the ball about. You've still got some exceedingly exciting players, the South back line with Andrew Mitchell, Brodie Allen, Crawford, Pickles and Welsh could really set themselves alight. And the Gala back, it's Hamish Seggy's probably been one of the big standouts for me this season. The couple of times that we've covered Gala, he 17-year-old boy, he's really impressed this year with his go forward, and with Turnbull outside him, and guests that obviously good players as well. Looking forward to seeing the likes of Jordan Edmonds, and never thought to see the day that Bruce McNeil would be in a Gala kit, but then that's just one other to go home with him tonight, no doubt.
Yes, there's a few guests in the Gala Select team today. Regan Malloy is one of them, Edinburgh Uni. He's American, from Massillon, Ohio. He went to the same school as Carlin Isles, no less, and actually worked out with him, so whether or not he will have the same level of pace will remain to be seen. Mac Rutherford, I'm guessing this could be his first outing in a Gala senior jersey. He's back from, did he go straight from semi-junior rugby to the academy?
I think possibly did. I'm not aware that he ever played for Gala first, so he might have done the odd occasion or come off the bench, but he's certainly, I can remember watching him at under 18 level, and also then watching him, he's certainly put on a bit of size since then. Yeah,
he's a big lad, Mac Rutherford. As Iain mentioned as well, Bruce McNeil of Kelso fame and many other clubs fame, Hoyk, and he is in the Gala ranks today. He'll come off the bench at some point. We're underway, and the South have kicked off, and they've caught that kick-off, and they're up and running straight into 22 here. The South in those famous red and white hoop jerseys. They're attacking the Fairydean end here at Netherdale. Just inside the 22, Alderson's at the base of the ruck, goes to his clubmate from Selkirk, Brodie Allen. Decent first carry for Allen. Alderson shoves a Gala player out the way. That was Malloy. Here come the South. There's a wee bit of space opened up here. They've got numbers on the near side. Still in the 22, Andrew Mitchell, the skipper, goes into play scrum half. Recently scored a hat-trick for Scottish Club International over in Ireland. First carry of the afternoon for another Selkirk man, Bruce Riddle. Alderson again fishing for this. They're inching further into the 22 here, but Charlie Welsh, the Hoyk man, is the latest recipient. It's been all the South so far. A minute or so gone. That's a decent first carry of the afternoon for Jack Fisher. Alderson looks for it again. Goes to Brunton. Brunton the Hoyk to another Hoyk man. Connor Sutherland, recently man of the match in the Inter-District Championship game against Cali, as he was against Edinburgh earlier in the season. It's been fumbled though, and it's gone into touch, so they'll come back for a scrum. Decent start for the South, Iain.
Yeah, definitely. It was a poor kick-off their receipt from Gala. Glenn McCrum had the chance to win that, and it looked pretty much like, I think it was Gary Young from Jed who took it and popped it on the outside to Ben Pickles. It's just been fairly simple, keep a hold of the ball. They haven't really showed too much in the way of making gaps or getting through gaps. But it's going to be that situation. Is South will keep a hold of the ball. They'll look to create gaps and then use the pace that they've got. But Gala's defence has held out well. Got a slight injury here, looks like, to Russell Anderson, I think. It's not so good start to the game for him. I'll give the guys that little breather, because that was a couple of minutes of pretty much full-on rugby for the start of the game.
Yeah, fairly breathless stuff. You mentioned the conditions before, Iain. It's a pretty dreek day out there.
Yeah, it's a typical Gala Sevens day, to be fair, and what would have normally been Gala Sevens back in the dim and distant past, as this tended to be the weather that Gala would get, and then Melrose would no doubt pitch up next week with beautiful sunshine and so on and so forth.
Spoken like a true Gala man.
Absolutely, 100%. Although I was speaking to Jeff Cullen on the way in the South Doctor, and I was reminiscing about one year where we had white shirts, a bit like Malcolm and David and Bob have got today at Melrose Sevens, and we had to go out with these in the final, and it was a blizzard, so we couldn't see one side of the pitch to the other. We've had some pretty cold days at Gala Sevens over the years.
None more so. I would be a teenager at the time as Russell Anderson re-enters fray. I was here, I must have been an early teenager. Fiji.
The Centenary Sevens, the 100th.
Absolutely filthy that day.
Yeah, but they still... Yeah, they still won by a mile. Yeah,
they certainly did. So, just about to get back up and running here. First scrum of the afternoon, and it's gone to the deck. A couple of Fisher brothers playing against each other. Actually, it was Gavin Fisher, one of the props in that Gala front row, up against his brother Jack, the hugely impressive second row from Selkirk. Permanent fixture, it would seem, in the South ranks the last couple of seasons. Whether or not he remains at Selkirk will remain to be seen, given that they're going to drop into National 1 next season, as we wait this scrum to be reset. Gavin Fisher, not your typical build for a prop, but certainly holding his own on that occasion. But the South did manage to get a bit of a shunt on, and Alderson, it's squirted out the back, and Alderson's picked it up, and they're only a couple of metres short here. Little fumble in there though, and it's been knocked on. Good counter drive by Gala. Kai Jones sets. Keddie comes in to form a bit of a caterpillar. Kai Jones clears, so that will be the advantage over. It's not made touch, however, so back they come, the South. Charlie Welsh, route one of the tacklers was McCrum. Alderson to Brunton. Don Crawford, his first touch of the afternoon in midfield. In his 30s now. Crawford. Good carry again there by Jack Fisher. Tidy clear out by the South as well. So Alderson goes to Ewan Knox. Well-deserved outing for him in a South jersey this season, such has been his form for Kelso in the last couple of seasons. All South at the moment possession-wise. Brunton takes a couple of Gala players to haul him to the deck. A wee bit of footwork there, that time by Gary Young, the sole Jed representative in the South ranks. Mitchell to Crawford. And that's a good pass by Crawford to Charlie Welsh, and Welsh has got a man inside. That man is Alderson, but it's drifted forward, and chance goes a begging for the South.
Yeah, some good play there. That was a really good pass from Crawford out to Welsh. To be honest, he had his own clubmate on the outside there. He had Connor Sutherland. Probably was an easier pass just to dip his left shoulder, come in field, and then just pop it out to the right. He tried the pass, and unfortunately he was heading towards the touchline, so he was having to turn his body and pass back against himself, which made it a little bit more difficult. Where with Sutherland on the outside would probably have been the easier pass. But yeah, some good play there by South, particularly that pass from Crawford just opened that up nicely.
Yeah, Finn Russell-esque by the veteran Melrose utility back. Coming to his time of year, Don Crawford very much an exponent of the abbreviated code. Gala now though with their first meaningful possession just outside their 22, and a typically meaty carry there by John Turnbull. There's a dummy runner. There's Mac Rutherford. So Gala, back it goes to Seggy. Seggy puts the boot through it, kicks it down into South territory, where it's picked up by Welsh. And Welsh sees a bit of space in the backfield, but it's eventually been well marshalled by Cammy Bryden. Takes the mark, sends it back downfield, doesn't make touch again. So Pickles. Oh, it's a good initial dart by Pickles, and he's up the middle of the park here. It's chipped forward into the dead goal area, but good Gala cover there by Ben Gill. It was that good bad, but the South just starting to show their class, Iain.
Yeah, some nice work there by Pickles. Cameron Bryden took the mark there. When you take a mark, you may as well just stick into Rose Head if you like, but to kick it back down the pitch when his own players haven't got back behind him, it sort of gives, if you're taking the mark, you want to basically give your guys plenty of time to get back on side. And then Pickles just won a little dummy, and he was 20-30 yards down the pitch, and again maybe a wrong option there by Hugo Alderson. The pass was on for him.
Meaty carry in there by the vice captain for the South today, Connor Sutherland. Oh, and that's a lovely offload. And trundling up there goes Jack Fisher. The South really starting to hit their straps now. And they're going to come back for a penalty as well. Not rolling away is the call from Malcolm Chang Wang in his brilliant white, newly acquired for the occasion jersey. Reminiscent of Gala strip back in the day, the beautiful 3 Adidas stripes down the sleeves.
Yeah, and the white was their sort of second jersey as well. So yeah, good work there by Gary Young. Jed, sort of normally number 8, playing the second row. He got into the tackle, got his arm free, popped the ball up, and then Fisher was, it was a good tackle by Cameron Bryden there just to slow him down. And then unfortunately there was lack of support from the South.
The kick has been sent to touch by the Hoyt 10, Kyle Brunton. So there's going to be a line out to the South. There's 6 or 7 metres. It's been well taken in there by Gary Young. It's gone to ground though. It's been pretty well defended by Gala, but the South have managed to pick it up and steam forward. They're up towards the line. Will they flop over? They're inches short if they're not over, and they're going to come back for a scrum 5. It had initially been sacked, the line out by the looks of things, Iain, but they did well to maintain it, to retrieve it, and the power game came on. You can see even at this early stage, what are we, 10 minutes in, that there's maybe just a wee bit of gulf in the in the power stakes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a big solid South front row there, and a couple of big lads in the back row as well. I think for me there, they did a good job, gathered a good job of sacking Gary Young, but the transfer was good after that, and that ball got back, and there was a good drive put on there. Obviously the ball must have been stopped short, otherwise it would have been another goal line dropout.
So a 5 metre scrum for the South. Alderson taps. Gallagher got a wee bit of shunt on that. Again, another mess has been made of that. It's gone down, so they'll have to reset. Guess on an occasion like this, Iain, we don't want to see too many reset scrums, do we?
No, let's just get the ball moving. One of the experiments that's going on in the Super Rugby and the Southern Hemisphere, New Zealand and the Fijians, is a lot of free kicks now, so not straight to line outs or free kicks. Most penalties, if you like, are free kicks at scrums. It's just get up and play the ball, and it's been a great bonus to them in that they're just getting things moving a lot quicker.
It is certainly exciting viewing on a Friday or Saturday morning. Clark Laidlaw's Hurricanes leading the charge at the moment as the scrum's been reset, and Gala have got a nudge on there. They've made a real mess of that, and it's been picked up, however, and it's been knocked on. So a brilliant defensive scrum there by Gala.
Great work there by Michael Angus. I mean, he's really got into, I was going to say Michael Angus, but it's on this side. It's not as Gav Fisher, I think.
Gav Fisher on this side.
He's got right into Bruce Riddle there, and he's put him under a lot of pressure.
So let's talk about Gav Fisher, Iain. I've been super impressed by him every time I've seen him. None more so, I think it was last season. I seen him when Gala nearly put Stirling away here. He was absolutely sensational. But there's nothing of him, which is remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, we've watched a lot of First Division or Premiership rugby this year, and I've seen bigger scrum halves in most weeks. And he's obviously got a really good technique, and he gets himself in a really good position, and does a good job.
They managed to clear their lines there, Gala, having won their own scrum. So it's going to be a south line out. We're 11 minutes gone, still 0-0. The Gala Select doing very, very well to weather the early south storm. Knox it will be, as I mentioned before. For me, he's a deserving wearer of a south jersey this afternoon. So many good hookers around the region, of course. Fraser Rennick, normally the incumbent scrum half for the South, scored in every inter-district game, and there's a splinter on here, and it's that man Knox, and he rolls over as well. Looked like a wee fumble in there by Alderson, but referee Mr. Chang Leng happy enough. So it's Alderson again at the base of this latest ruck, and that's been knocked forward by the other Fisher. That was Jack. So Gala now, still all of the rugby being played in their own 22, but not the South with nothing to show for it, and that's a decent nudge to touch. That's a brilliant kick, clearing kick right up to halfway, and again they weather the storm.
Yeah, some good work there. Just been some little unforced errors by the South team. Again, we're sitting up here at the back of the stand. Yes, it's cold, but it's dry. You're looking out there, and it's that really heavy, drizzly rain that just soaks everything, becomes greasy. And I think certainly early on there's been a couple of fumbles by South players picking up and driving, and that's going to be the toughest one. You know, ball to hands, you can adjust for that. When you're trying to pick the ball up off the deck, that's when it gets a bit slippy.
Certainly does. And that's a squint line out as well. And so it's the Gala hooker Conor Mackay that comes away with it. Now Gala with a chance to play, and that's Russell Anderson with a decent carry, patched up, headband on. Up and into the south half now, where they've seldom been, if at all. Segi gets through the first challenge. Segi's he's a big, powerful lad for an 18-year-old. Solid defence on the Gala, on-rushing forward. Jones, little dink over the top by Jones. That's going to bounce in the 22, but he's well positioned. Is Charlie Welsh, and he sends it back with interest, and Ben Gill is back in his own half. Gill's going to try and run this, which is kind of what we want to see on a day like this. He's still going as well. He's done brilliantly well. The Gala winger there, another player who comes into his own at this time of year. Sevens on the horizon. Jones, and another good carry there, but eventually the ball is lost. Conor Mackay, he'd hit that 100 mile an hour, and advantage is over because Alderson's hacked it down the field, and there's a foot race on here. Now there's only going to be one winner of that. Pretty much Richie Mitchell against anybody's going to win, but Don Crawford's done well to hassle and Harry, and Brodie Allen's in there as well. Richie Mitchell caught 6 or 7 metres from his own line, and he's held on, and a penalty's been awarded to the South. So this will go in the corner, no doubt. Normally you and I would be screaming for points here, Iain, take the points, but we don't want to see it on a day less. No, they've tapped and gone. Riddle played the 9 there. Yeah, the 9 has been played, Alderson. And it's been tapped by Jack Fisher. Fisher up towards the line. Good defence again. Russell Anderson in with a big shot. Now he's going to have to get himself out of there, though. He's on the wrong side. Knox, another big shot on Knox as well. Good defence by Gala, but it looks ominous here. Here comes Andrew Mitchell. Just shy of the line. Prolific try scorer. Alderson with a big pass out there to Pickles. Again, good defence. Pickle's going to do well to stay in field here, actually. And into touch he goes. The flag of David Changlang has gone up, but his brother Malcolm is going to bring them back. A few dissenting voices in the home support. Are going to be a penalty to the South in the shadow of the sticks. Just waiting to see what they're going to do here. I think the referee's having a chat with the Gala captain, Craig Keddie.
Yeah, this is always a difficult thing in these type of games. Pre-season was I used to hate refereeing pre-season games because you want to see the game getting played, but you've also got to set boundaries because in a situation like that, if Gala know that there's no subsequent penalty, i.e. or subsequent outcome to just penalty after penalty, they're just going to keep killing the ball left, right, and centre. So in scenarios like that, you've still got to speak to the captains and warn them that if there's too many penalties, they will have to yellow card. And whilst you don't want yellow cards, the threat's got to be there because to create a game of rugby, you've got to have both teams playing. So as we used to say to people on a regular basis, if you want quick ball and attack, you've got to be willing to give up quick ball and defence. And if they're not, then there's got to be an additional sanction. So it looks like Grant Stevenson coming on. It looks like another blood injury.
Yeah, Grant Stevenson is indeed coming on. Is that?
I think it's Conor Mackay, the hooker.
It's Conor Mackay, yeah. So the South have tapped this up towards the line. Just short. That looks like Bruce Riddle in there. Alderson. And it goes to Sam Derrick. Still 0-0 here at Netherdale. Riddle's going to have a pick and go here that he's met hard on the gain line. Again, solid defence by the Maroons, and has it been stolen? There's a Gala player all over that. Robbie Irvin, and Robbie Irvin has done his side a turn there because there's going to be a Gala scrum, and no matter what the South throw at them at the moment, Iain.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, when we've seen Gala this year, their defence around about Ruck and Mall has been really good, really strong. They get up hard, they hit hard. It's probably further out wide where maybe their centres get a little bit disconnected, and that's probably where I'd have thought the South will get a bit more in the way of purchase as far as scoring them. Again, great defence, and Robbie Irvin's got in there and he's ripped the ball off Bruce Riddle, who didn't look particularly amused, but that's pretty standard with Bruce when a decision goes against him. But as most props, to be fair.
Yeah, it was great work by Robbie Irvin. Always puts himself about. Gala have won that scrum, moved it to Segi, who sent it downfield. Again, Charlie Welsh, he's been busy so far. Welsh, that's a decent tackle on him. Does he look to evade his man again? That was Robbie Irvin. Connor Sutherland now. Sutherland into Stevenson. He's been held up. He's done well to get that away to Alderson, but that's a loose pass, and they're in reverse here, the South, and Gala swarming into the contact, but again, the South have managed to maintain it, albeit back inside their own half. South with a few guests still to enter the fray, the likes of Bruce McNeil, Jordan Edmonds in particular, James Thompson, Kelso and Berwick. Alderson with a high one this time, and under it is Bryden. He's done well there, Bryden, and Gala are going to get bodies round here to help out the fullback, Glenn McCrum, and Glenn McCrum makes 5 or 6 metres. Another of the region's kind of unsung players, in my opinion. Glenn McCrum always puts in a shift, and again that's a decent nudge downfield by Segi. Back goes Brunton. He's going to, however, let that go over the try line and dot it down. And Gala, do you get the sense, Iain, that if Gala could just string a wee bit more together in an attacking sense, and we've got a game on here?
Absolutely, and I think that's what they'll want to do. Their defence has been good so far. They just need to keep a hold of the ball a few more times. And I think if I was in Sesh Henderson's shoes, I'd be a little disappointed in some of the players. You never sit here and say that somebody's not putting in the full shift, but there are certainly some players that seem to be more willing to stand up and take the ball on and make the tackles than others. But they've got to realise that this isn't just a turn up and win the game because they're the district side. This is a decent Gala side that are out today, and they'll have more chances to change and potentially get better as well.
Drop out from under their own sticks by the South. Gill, still going. Gill, again, he's done well. Gives his forwards just that extra bit of chance to get back round and help him. McCrum again. Been busy couple of minutes for McCrum. There's a South player in the way there, shall we say, and yeah, the referee is not going to penalise but award a scrum to Gala. So looking at who's going to come off the bench at some point, you'd imagine for Gala Day, Luke Petty, once of this parish, of course, and very effective. He was too, I think, back in the championship winning days, Luke Petty.
Yeah, he would be around about in those days, yeah. And he's still solid, and he'll do a good job at scrums and so on and so forth. It'd be interesting to see how you and Robbie does make the changes. Does he use the Gala boys first and then bring on the guests, or does he just say, right, what we need is what we need? But again, that situation there, Grant Paxton's got us on the wrong side. He's probably been held in by the Gala player. Having said that, is this really a benefit to Gala with the way that the scrum's been going?
Turnbull looks to try and free the hands. It looks like his centre part and Malloy had been impeded, but nothing doing. And if the South managed to pilfer that on the Gala 22, there's a counter drive on here, and it comes back the way of the South, but illegally so, says Malcolm Chang Leng, the referee. So Keddie with his hands on the ball. This potentially will be hoofed into the corner, and forward comes Bryden for exactly that. So it's a kick from the 22. Bryden sends it to the point that it will be a 5 metre line out. Bob Nevins, the AR on this near side, and Gala with their first, what you'd call, real opportunity of this game. We're 22 minutes in, still no score. Almost remarkable in what is, a bit of an exhibition game, I guess. And what are you noticing here, Iain?
Yeah, there's about 8 or 9 players in from Gala in the line out, so it looks like they're going to go for the drive. Malloy
and it's been lost forward. It's been lost forward. They'd done the hard part. It was a decent line out, it had been taken, but I think the conditions played their part, and it's squirted out and onto the south side, and it's going to be a south scrum. Yeah,
both centres, Regan Malloy and John Turnbull, had gone into that line out there, so obviously once Mac Rutherford had won it, the plan was to form them all round about and would have 2 extra bodies into the drive, but unfortunately the ball was lost forward, and somehow it finished up on the south side.
Mac Rutherford, it was all 6 foot what? There must be 6'9" of him, 6'10" of him, I would say. He's a big, tall lad, and you're right with what you said earlier, and he's bulked out a lot in the Edinburgh Academy. But he's going to lock down in the middle row of a scrum here, because it was fumbled. South scrum. I have to say, this has been played like a proper. It's been played like a proper league match, I would say, thus far, and that maybe more for the purists like us, I guess. But I've been pleased with what I've seen so far.
Yeah, I'm the same, Robin. I think
the way it's been played.
Yeah, I mean it's been full on. There's been some fairly big collisions. The scrummage has been quite impressive. Gala have had a couple of shoves. South have been on a couple of times, and yeah, it's more like a league game than an exhibition game, which is great.
And Crawford's bundled. Looked like he was into touch, Crawford, and it's gone into touch now again. Good defence by Gala, and Keddie looks to take this one quickly, and the referee all day long is going to allow that to go in this type of fixture. Bryden, the Gala fullback, takes it into heavy contact, and again a good counter ruck by the district composite 15, but Gala still in possession. Jones to Gill. Gill has played, of course, for the South, and another penalty has been awarded against the South here.
I'm not sure that was the right option there by Craig Keddie. I mean, they had a line out in the 22, get an opportunity to catch and drive and do a little bit of work there, and then he sort of run back about 15 metres and thrown it inside to Cameron Brighton, who sort of, fortunately, about 40 of the crowd shouted that it was coming to him. Yeah, otherwise he had no idea what was going on, I don't think.
And it happened no sooner than it said that this game was being played like a league game. That was something right out an end of season friendly by Craig Keddie.
I think the idea is fine. But to run back 15 metres, when you're trying to get on the front foot, if there'd been somebody standing there and just pop it straight in, then fair enough. But they've got the penalty in midfield. They've now got a line out about 7 metres from the south line, so it gives them an opportunity to do what they were trying to do at this side of the pitch.
And then back in the here and now, it's going to be a Gala line out because the penalty was taken, a kick to touch. It's been palmed back by the fingertips of McCrum, and they've managed to salvage it here, Gala. So it's Kai Jones to Robbie Irvin. Jones again. Russell Anderson, he's beat the first man, Russell Anderson. Good carry by the Hoyk man. Again, another one-time Gala player, and another strong carry by John Turnbull. He's been impressive so far, and a little gap opened up for Keddie, but it was slammed shut eventually. Gala still in possession though, and back to McCrum now. McCrum with the footwork up towards the line, and he's over the line, Glenn McCrum. And the referee is going to go to the screen now. I believe it is a fixture of the... Yes, it is a TMO review here at Gala. Now I could see from here, this is all. I think this is all in the spirit of things. That for all money was a try, but let's see what. And this will be our first time ever commentating for a TMO review. So let's see how we handle this. Iain.
I think it is, and I've got.
It's on the screen. Let's see. It's on the big screen. McCrum. Yeah, he's up towards it. Yeah, and that's over. And the try has been awarded. First blood to Gala here at Netherdale. 27 minutes gone. Try for Glenn McCrum. Confirmed by the television match official. Gala 5, South 0. Cammy Bryden's kick to come. Kicker of his quality, Bryden. You'd imagine this will split the uprights. Begins the run up. Strikes it sweetly and through the middle it goes, and first blood Gala, which is particularly impressive given what they soaked up early in the piece.
Yeah, and I think that's been the big thing for me so far, is that the South have come out, they've put a lot of pressure on Gala, but they've got nothing out of it, courtesy of a couple of poor options and a couple of 3 or 4 personal errors or simple individual errors. Gala have basically just kept the hold of the ball, and there was some good drives in there. John Turnbull again made a good hit up in midfield, and then it was just nice and simple, and there we go. 7 points on the board.
Yeah, and Kyle Brunton, that's not gone 10, that's not gone 3, I would say, by Brunton. You can see he's disappointed in himself there. So it's going to be a Gala scrum right on halfway. They've certainly had parity at scrum time. 28 minutes gone now. Gala 7, the South 0. And Gala, you spoke about some of the big hitters to come, the likes of Bruce McNeil, but they've got Jack Harrison as well, one of Peebles' better performers, a couple of Boroughmuir players to come on, Gavin Lockhart, and in particular Jordan Edmonds, who's played plenty of Super Series rugby. He's a horrendous injury that he's making his way back from, so it'll be good to see him back out on the grass. He's a particularly dangerous operator. As we wait this Gala scrum, Jones, now the South have got a wee bit of a shunt on there, and they've made a real mess of that, and Keddie's done well to pick it up, and that's gone forward from Keddie, and it's been booted forward off the deck, and it's going to work out as a brilliant touch finder. It was hoofed forward by a South player off the deck, and it's gone into touch 6 or 7 metres from the Gala line. So it's going to be a pressure line out for the Maroons. Stevenson on at hooker for Conor Mackay. Takes the instruction over, comes Gav Fisher. So Stevenson, he'll look for the likes of Mac Rutherford. But no, it goes to Robbie Irvin. He was lifted by Rutherford, and Gala are going to try and rumble their way out of this. Shunt on there by Paxton, and Fisher, Jack Fisher it was, had a big mitt in there, but the referee's awarded a penalty Gala's way. So again, the South can't make anything tangible of the decent field position that they had, as Bryden sends it downfield. Going to be a Gala throw in, almost equidistant between the 22, the South, their own 22 rather, and the 10 metre line. Big function on in the tent that's already been erected for the Sevens here next weekend. Iain, doesn't like too many of the souls are going to venture out.
I think they've got a fairly good view from there, and there may be some liquid refreshment to keep them going. So yeah, it's been a good turnout. It's an ex-players day.
Oh, and that's an overthrow. by a current player. And so the South now on the 22, and Jack Fisher again, another strong carry for him. He's been a willing worker for the South, and they're going to try and run a move here, and that's a decent ball by Brunton, but the winger on that far side, Pickles, couldn't take it. And again, Keddie thinks about the quick one. A lot closer to his own line this time than the South line, but thinks better of it. He's got a grin from ear to ear at the moment. He's enjoying himself out there in what I think we're going to say is his last appearance in a maroon jersey, I would imagine.
Certainly heard plenty of rumours along those lines. Great workhorse, great servant both to Gala and Boroughmuir, and of course the Boroughmuir Bears as well, the Super 6 team. I think he captained them, did he not?
I think he did, yeah. What will he have across? He's certainly got more than 100 games for Gala. He'll be comfortably into 200.
I'm not so sure it'll be as many as that, because he did play quite a bit at Boroughmuir as well, but he'll certainly...
In total, sorry.
200 games in terms of, across the board, comfortably, I would have thought,
Yeah, more than 100 here. And several years at Boroughmuir and the Bears, and there's a penalty coming to the South here, not rolling away the Gala player, and it's been taken quickly on halfway rather than sent to the touchline, and that's not particularly clever. That's a loose pass, and not 10, I think, is the call from Malcolm Chang-Leng. So the South are going to get another nibble at it, and there's a Gala player down, and it is that man, Keddie, possibly taking a breather here. The big man.
And he's making sure he's doing it right in the middle of play. He's no daft.
Yeah,
he knows what he's doing.
He's on. You can see the smile from here.
Oh, it's experience, isn't it? You know, completely. And he's having an absolute ball. He's having a great battle with Jack Fisher, who I think he probably played with at Boroughmuir Bears and so on and so forth. And I think just, for me, the South are just a bit flat. They need to, in some way, shape or form, either get this down to just let's win this game by playing rugby as you would normally play, or alternatively they've got to go absolutely full tilt and try and play running rugby. But at the moment, they're sort of, for me, they're a bit in between. Another poor kick there from Kyle Brunton.
Yeah, didn't make touch, Brunton. And that gives Ben Gill a chance to run it back at the South. He made a few metres as well, Gill. It's Fisher or Gala takes it in. Jones coming on a hard line there is the guest, Regan Malloy. And another guest, Russell Anderson, in possession now, although he has played here for Gala, of course, and very successfully so, in what was a good period for the club back around 2013-14, that kind of era. And Keddie's in there trying to haul a South player into touch. It's all playing out at the moment in front of our vantage point here in the stand at Netherdale. That's a decent carry and a pump of the legs by Gary Young, the Jed skipper. Jed manufacturing their way out of trouble towards the end of the season. Some pushing and shoving in there. Mark Rutherford and Bruce Riddle, never far away from it. Bruce Riddle, a wee bit of accidental obstruction there by Richie Mitchell, as a Gala player caught the up and under and tried to run it back. So it's going to be a South scrum. 34 minutes gone, still Gala 7, the South 0. And there's another sub on here. Kyle Scott, it looks like, is going to replace Michael Angus.
Yeah, Kyle Scott's coming on for a bit of a run. He's been an impressive player over the years as well. He's racked up a lot of games. He's not what you would say is his size, physically wise, he's a prop.
Yeah.
But he does scrummage really, really well, and he holds his own up in the scrum. And him on one side and Fisher on the other. They're not the biggest front row in the world, but they do a good job for Gala and at least give them an opportunity to get front foot ball.
So yeah, it's Fisher, Stevenson, and Kyle Scott the front row now. Alderson trying to get that. Gala have got a shove on there. It's toing and froing at scrum time. That's a good carry by Brodie Allen. And again, Jack Fisher, he's been the most prominent carrier for the South so far this afternoon. It's been kicked through there by Brunton, a wee bit aimless by the Hoyk 10. It's taken in there by Richie Mitchell and sent to touch.
Yeah, and just a little interest one there. It's the first time we've had a really good chance to see the scrum. So you've got Bruce Riddle up against Gav Fisher on this near side. We're in the stand, obviously. And it's interesting. I was trying to work out why Gav Fisher's getting a bit on him. Very simply, is Russell Anderson, who's playing at blindside wing forward, is just basically driving straight in on Bruce every time. So he's providing an extra front row forward. Right. Another bit of experience there from Russell. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, playing in the back row today, Russell Anderson. Normally a regulation hooker, many games in his career. Langham, Gala, Melrose, Southern Knights, Hoyk. South in possession, just outside the 22, and it's squirted out there. It's been taken in by Fisher of Gala. Score update at the moment. Hoyk Lindeen are winning by 13 points to 5. As it's back with Segi, and Segi sent that to touch, and that's a decent kick by Segi. And it's been taken quickly by the South, however. Over on that far side, it's Pickles, one of the danger men in this South backline. Not seen too much of him, other than one impressive carry so far this afternoon. Big tackle there by Russell Anderson on Jack Fisher. He's really put himself about Anderson so far, back in a Gala jersey, and he looks to be loving life out there this afternoon. And that's a big shot on by Andrew Mitchell on the much more diminutive Richie Mitchell. Mitchell on Mitchell, no relation. South scrum, another change here.
It's Eddie Eyre on for Kai Jones.
Kai Jones, the American, he's been a good addition round here.
Yeah, we spotted him at Peeble Sevens last year, if you remember, when we were up there, and thought, where did this guy come from? And I found out he was across from the US, and he's been really impressive. You know, a good nuggety scrum half, does the basics well. You know, good pass, good break, good tackling, and does his cover work. And he's been a really good addition to the Gala team. And Eddie Ayre's a very good scrum half as well.
He is indeed. Yeah, Kai Jones just always seems to go about his business. Never seems to get two up or two down. Brunton to his clubmate, Charlie Welsh. Welsh had Pickles for company. Alderson now to Fisher again. Fisher again. Russell Anderson fires into Fisher. They're having a good battle out there at the moment. Played together in Selkirk colours, of course. Not many times Russell Anderson wasn't at Selkirk all that long. I think it was last season or the season before. So Alderson going nowhere fast here. The South still camped inside their own half. Still to 0 as well. 7-0 to Gala. That's Malloy. He was hit hard by Welsh, among others, but they've done well to regurgitate possession here. Gala. Kyle Scott, his first trundle. Keddie, and Keddie releases the hands to Ayre. Now Gala going to try and run one here. John Turnbull. Turnbull sees the space. Door pretty quickly closed in his face, but he's managed to get it back on the Gala side. Ayre, dummy, and a big shot there on the Academy Pro, Mac Rutherford. But Ayre is at the back of the Caterpillar here again, which would suggest this is going into the bleak Gala sky, the drizzly Gala sky. Brunton again. That's ricocheted. Everybody's on side here for the South. But Ayre's done well to get across, but he's gobbled up by a couple of South players. Brunton's one of them, but again they've done well to get it back on the Gala side as we inch towards half time rather, 40 minutes on the clock now. Still Gala 7, the South 0. Anderson, bit of footwork by Anderson, drags in a couple of South players, one of which was Paxton. Turnbull again, impressive so far in this first half. He's tackled by Sam Derrick, and he's been taken in there, and the half-time whistle goes, and it's been sort of nuggety, nip and tuck stuff, Iain. Probably not what we expected, but a decent contest nonetheless, and I would have given you exceptionally long odds on the South being 0 at half-time.
Yeah, I was just going to say exactly the same thing. It's not what was expected. It's certainly been a proper game of rugby. I was just thinking there just now that a lot of the big hits you've been mentioning during commentary seems to be certain players who are being hit harder are hitting harder than each other. So, and again, it's not that they're singling each other out, but or going easier on some players, but certainly the former Super 6 guys seem to be smashing at each other quite considerably. It's been entertaining stuff. Unfortunately, it's 7-0. The conditions don't really help in terms of the type of game that you want to be seen playing, but actually it's been entertaining. It's been hard. It's been physical. And both teams are, there's no quarter asked, no quarter given.
No, there's not been. And again, you mentioned it, Iain, there's a decent sized crowd here today as well.
Yeah, I mean, the stand here's probably about, certainly well over half filled, 2/3 filled. You've got the tent down there, there'll be 100 plus in there. So, yeah, it's good to see as many people turning up as there are, because, we don't get many games like this. And for someone like the South to come out and play against Gala, and obviously, I would think that in the next few years there will probably more of this as other clubs like Melrose and Gala and Jed, they reach their 150th as well. And it's great to see these occasions, and if you get a decent crowd, it brings some money into the club, and also, it's a spectacle as well.
Certainly is. Well, it could be argued that the game itself today's not been a spectacle. Some might have been expecting a bit of a basketball game, try after try after try, but it's not been like that. It's been tough, it's been nuggety, there's been big shots, and it's half time here at Netherdale. It's Gala 7, the South 0.
This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio.
Borders water, Borders barley, and Borders people. That's what makes the Borders Distillery. Working exclusively with local farmers, the Borders Distillery is bringing whiskey making back to the region. Our award-winning distillery is open to everyone, where you can meet the people behind the scenes, explore our wash house, and shop quality local products. Tour your local distillery and discover the spirit of the Borders. Full details at thebordersdistillery.com. Always enjoy our spirit responsibly. Under 18s must be accompanied by an adult when visiting the Borders Distillery.
If you're hearing this, then so could your customers. To advertise on Rugby Radio's 2 Saturday shows and also the Scottish Club Rugby podcast, get in touch via our website at rugbyradio.co.uk. Advertising and sponsorship packages are available for the whole season or on a monthly basis. Help support what we do to promote club rugby in Scotland using our contact page at rugbyradio.co.uk.
Based in Gala Shields but covering the whole region and beyond, Borders Mortgage Hub is your one-stop shop for all things mortgage related in the Borders. Visit us at bordersmortgagehub.com or call us on 01896 807 008. That's 01896 807 008. Borders Mortgage Hub. Mortgages for the Borders in the Borders.
Borders Mortgage Hub.
When it's time to celebrate the big wins, on and off the pitch, choose Oakham Black, one of the UK's leading suppliers of sustainable medals, trophies and gifts. Great moments deserve to be remembered, with custom designs made just for your club, school or business. Oakham Black. Celebrate, acknowledge, inspire. Find out more at oakamblack.com.
With over 30 years' experience in print and embroidery, BE Uniforms are one of Scotland's leading rugby teamwear specialists. We currently supply many great clubs across Scotland and the north of England, offering brands such as Adidas, Macron, Canterbury and BE Sport. We have a specialist teamwear team who collectively have over 60 years' experience in the trade, delivering quality teamwear and finding solutions to the challenges out there. If your club is looking for a new supplier and would like to know more, get all the details at beuniforms.co.uk, proud sponsors of Rugby Radio and Borders Rugby TV. BE Uniforms, your identity is our purpose.
This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio.
Yes, it's Gala Select 7, the South 0 at the break. A later score in the Bowl semi-final, by the way, being played in Loch Lomond, Helensburgh. It's Helensburgh 5, Hoyk Lundeen 20. That's the semi-final of the Bowl. The winner will go to Silver Saturday and have a 10 a.m. kick-off in the final at the Hive. I bet they can't wait for that. But today's unique game, of course, put on to mark 150 years of Gala Rugby Club. Hugh Brown earlier spoke to a man who's still very much involved with Gala, is one of the true Maroon legends. Gala, the South, Scotland, the British and Irish Lions fullback, of course, Peter Dods.
Peter, this is going to be a fantastic celebration for Gala today, isn't it?
Oh, very, very much so. I was lucky enough to actually, I shouldn't maybe tell you this, but playing the the 100th game, but that was for Gala semi-juniors against the South semi-juniors, and we had a great result that day. Gala beat the South, so hopefully that will happen today.
But you've, as well as playing for Gala illustriously, you've also played for the South as well in 1987.
Yep, many times, played with some great players as well, you know, through the years and things, the Jim Rennicks and the Cransons, the Keith Robertsons, you know, and I think at one time, you know, when we were winning championships and things like that, you know, I think there was like 13 internationalists in the team and that, you know, and, you know, you don't see that nowadays, but hopefully these days might come back in the future.
Why is that? Is it because club rugby isn't as strong and as powerful as it was in your day?
I don't think club rugby is as strong. You know, the elite's up at the top there, and you know most things are dragged towards Glasgow and Edinburgh now. Youngsters are into academies now, and you know most of the time, you know, they're not allowed back to their clubs and things. So that has a lot to do with it.
You played 23 times, I think I'm right in saying, for Scotland, capped 23 times. Difficult question, this. Was it better to play for Gala or for Scotland?
I think it was both at the time. You know, the thing is, you had to have good club form, you know, to get yourself forward and into a South team. And you know, you were in that South team, and you were spotted there, and then you moved up into the Scotland team from that.
But you had some real successes playing for Scotland. I mean, you beat England at Twickenham, didn't you?
Yeah, we had a good win down there. It was I'm saying a favourite ground, but I didn't like playing against England, but we seem to always beat them down there and things like that.
And yet, sadly, you were dropped in favour of Gavin Hastings. Is he on your Christmas card list?
Yeah, listen, we get on great together, me and Gavin and that, you know, and you know, we're the best of mates at times and that, and still have reunions from now to then.
Yeah, but you actually tell me about some of the memorable times then for Scotland. What was your biggest memory for playing for Scotland?
Well, I think naturally, you know, the first time you played for Scotland, you know, it was away back in '83 against Ireland, but you know, that was the year. We only went on and won one game, and that was against England down at Twickenham, the last game. But you know, that was a building block to the next again year in '84 when we were on and won the Grand Slam.
And your last appearance was in 1991 in the World Cup in the third place playoff against New Zealand.
Yep, I got on because that was down at Cardiff, and Tony Stanger came off and I got on to play in that game.
What about today then, Gala select against the South? How much importance is there on this game, do you think, for Gala and for the South?
Well, I think it's important for them both, but at the end of the day, it's an end of the season showcase and a great way for Gala to celebrate their 150 years. So hopefully both teams will go out there with a positive attitude and you'll see some good running rugby.
I bet you'd like to be playing.
Well, I'll maybe get on in the second half for a couple of minutes or something. We'll see.
Peter, it's a great delight to chat to you. I'm glad you're still involved in Gala as well, and thanks for talking to us on Rugby Radio.
No problem.
The great Peter Dods still involved with Gala, and as he said, he might come on later on. Who knows? I personally don't think he will, but there we are. Well, South have just coming out, so let's hand you back to our commentary team this afternoon. It's Iain Hurd and Robin Purdie.
Thank you, Stuart. That's right, the South just making their way back out. Looks like a couple of changes as well, Iain. It looks like Ronan McKean is on, the big Hoik winger. Not played that much this season, McKean, but he's out there now looking to make his mark. And I think another Hoik man, Connor Crawley, potentially is out there as well. Gala, now we'll look to see if there's any changes for Gala. There's a number 20 now, that is Jordan Edmonds. Great to see him back on a rugby field. The type of player that can really do damage. He's on for Gala, the Boroughmuir man.
I think Lockhart's on as well, and looks like Doug Crawford's come on for South.
Yeah, Doug Crawford will be looking to inject some life into a South team that was a wee bit pedestrian at times in that first half. It's going to be Saggy, the young Tyro, for Gala at 10 to get us back underway. Gala this half attacking the Fairy Dean end. That's been dropped by the South recipient of the kick, but it had gone backward, and one Bruce McNeil is out there in the 8 jersey for Gala as well. Never thought I'd say that, but he's on now, so things could get interesting. It's Gala in possession, and it's Keddie who started the game at 8. We'll see where Keddie packs down when we get to the first scrum. And there goes Edmonds with a first involvement for him this afternoon, but it's gone forward there. And so yeah, Gala got a wee bit of a different look about them this half, Iain. Things could get interesting.
Yeah, there's some interesting changes there. I mean, Edmonds and Lockhart in the centre could be quite a dynamic pairing, and you know, at the end of the day, Bruce is going to do what Bruce does. He'll take the ball on in attack, he'll make some tackles in defence, and he'll be a pain in the backside to officials and opposition players where he has the ability to do so, and long may that continue, in my opinion.
Yeah, one of the great characters of rugby in this part of the world, Bruce McNeil, and I can confirm he is packing down at number 8. Was it ever going to be anything other than that? Gala, a burly, big, athletic looking pair of centres, but Doug Crawford makes an immediate impact and breaks 10-15 metres. Pickles is hit hard by one of those new centres, Gav Lockhart. The Boroughmuir combination now, and Connor Sutherland, by his own very high standards at inter-district level, it's maybe a wee bit quiet in that first half, but the South look like they've got their dander up here. They're up now into the Gala half. Mitchell is caught by a couple of Gala players. Robbie Irvin was one of them, and it's gone to ground, and a scrum is going to be awarded to Gala. Looks like Hamish Tweedy's on as well.
Hughie Donaldson as well in the second row for Jack Fisher.
Oh, Fisher, I think Fisher's still out. There. But you're right, Donaldson's on, and maybe for Gary. No, is Gary Young going? Gary Young's. No, Donaldson's going to go down.
He's gone on for Sam Derrick, I think.
He's on for Sam Derrick.
Yeah, Sam Derrick.
Aye, that's right. Donaldson, I've not seen much of him this season, but he's certainly been getting highly spoken of as his fledgling career continues to flourish. Very much a permanent fixture in a Hoyk squad that has all credit to them. Bled a number of young players this season and comfortably remained in the division. And there's a dummy there by Saggy. He's taken down on halfway. Air to Lockhart. He'll be comfortably over 6 foot in the centre position. Lockhart, Bruce McNeil. An ironic boo from one of the worthies in the crowd. And that's strong work there by Donaldson in the tackle, but Gala still in possession. Robbie Irvin, an ever-willing worker for the Maroon cause. Air to Stevenson. Stevenson stopped in his tracks, the squat figure, but he manages to take another metre or two. Air once again. Back to Saggy. That's stronger defence by the South. Gary Young, but they've done well again. Gala. Here comes Kyle Scott into the heavy traffic. Good clear out by Mac Rutherford. And that's been kicked and bounces into touch, and Gala eke their way up the park. And would it be right saying that the South just look like, or they look like they've got a bit more intent this second half, Iain, when they've been in possession?
I think both teams, to be fair. I think they've both come out with a bit more intent. There's a bit more pace on the ball. South obviously first and foremost, the initial possession, and then it's gone over to Gala, and they've been a bit like that as well. So, you know, Lockhart and Edmonds in the centre, they've added a little bit of spark. Same with the South team as well. So yeah, hopefully we'll get this continuing for the next 40 minutes, and we'll get a different second half. Hopefully get a bit more rugby in it than we had in the first half.
4 minutes of the second half gone. That's a tidy line out to Donaldson at the tail. Now out to McKean. It was a Hoyk 1-2 in the midfield. Sutherland onto McKean, and McKean was met by a Gala player that had come flying out the line. Good line speed by Gala, and they've turned over possession, and it's tipped on there. That looked slightly high on a Gala player. Stevenson getting back to his feet as well. Looks like he maybe took a knock. Seggy tackled by McKean and Taylor Wilson. Taylor Wilson, another who used to play here, of course. Stevenson is back up and running. That's his third involvement of this second half. Ayr, that's been fumbled. Lockhart picks it up. Did that go forward? No, referee seems happy enough. And now out with Ben Gill, and Ben Gill runs hard into Tweedy, the Kelso man who's on for the South. Scott again to Ayr. Gala looking comfortable in possession, and like a hot knife through butter goes Lockhart, and Lockhart offloads as well. That's a brilliant offload to Fisher. Charlie Welsh with a tackle on Fisher. They're deep into enemy territory here, the South. And again it's Lockhart. Strong work by the replacement centre. He's been held up well, however, and that's been stolen by the South. That's brilliant work in there by Connor Sutherland. And it's going to come back for a penalty to Gala, however, and early impact there by the big Boroughmuir centre, Iain.
Yeah, just a little bit of understanding between the two of them. You know, Edmonds just he's obviously heard the call from his teammate and just put him through that gap. Just a short pass, very difficult to defend because he's coming so late on the ball and went right through the middle. And yeah, some really good play there by the Gala select.
Seggy to touch. So Gala will get a line out here inside the South 22 as they look to extend their 7-0 advantage. 6 and a bit minutes gone in the second half. Stevenson's went well since he came on as an early replacement for Conor Mackay. Bruce McNeil ambling up into the line out now. He's having a chat with a South player at the tail. And that's been won by the South. It was loose by Gala, but it's been flapped back, and McNeil and Craig Keddie, the two veterans, are in there, but it's been won again by the South, and carry there by Ashton Asante, another who is on for the South. Have rung the changes in this second half, and Doug Crawford's hassled and harried, and Scott's in there trying to make a nuisance of himself. Bruce McNeil screaming for the penalty, as is his wont. Asante again, the one-time winger as a junior rugby player. Crawford sends it down the field. Crawford towards touch, but doesn't find touch. It was Jack Niven takes it. Ben Gill, that's a tip tackle on Ben Gill. Is that going to be it's been stolen? No, it's back on the Gala side. I thought Donaldson had stolen that for the South, and a penalty has been awarded for the tip. I don't think it was going to be anything more than that yet. Referee giving the signal. So penalty, couple of penalties against the South in this second half. Things not quite going their way as we approach there's a replay on the big screen there. And that was a tip tackle.
Feet went above the horizontal, but I don't think he came down on anything that was particularly dangerous. I think you're quite right that the penalty is sufficient there, and yeah, just again Gala have just shown that little bit extra oomph, if you like, and that the carries are getting a bit more snappy, and both teams, to be fair, but again they just seem to be playing the wrong part of the pitch. I think if this had been at Kelso, and I wonder who's going to be at the +1. Oh look, it's Bruce McNeil. There's a surprise.
Yeah. And it's back with Bruce McNeil. Fisher wraps him up. They've had a few ding-dongs in recent seasons. That's strong defence on Keddie. And they're trying to swim through that. The South bats came back on the Gala side. Robbie Irvin. Ayr to Stevenson. Flying out the line was McKean again. Line speed from the South, but still on the Gala side. Fed on there by Irvin to McNeil. Gala still in possession here. Russell Anderson, another decent carry by Anderson. Very busy in the first half. Stevenson's been very busy in the second half. Ayr. Coming onto that was Kyle Scott. Another willing carrier since he entered the fray for Gala. Lockhart again into the contact. Bruce McNeil tries to fire his way through the middle of the ensuing ruck, and that's back in field, or back into the heavy traffic comes Ben Gill, and they're just inching forward here, Gala. They're into the South 22 now, where they'll be content to keep possession, and keep possession they do to Seggy. McKean, some thought that might have been borderline high. McNeil has to drop on it, and no, there's an intervention here from Bob Nevins. They are on this near side, and it's gone forward by the South. It's forward by Gala rather, and they're just comfortable in possession at the moment, Iain, albeit that, you know, they've fumbled at the end there, but pretty comfortable as it stands at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's an element of comfort, as you say, in the there's always a supporting player there. So, you know, a couple of changes been made. Russell Anderson, who's been absolutely superb, probably one of the stars on show today, and Richie Mitchell coming off. So it's young Sam Scott, son of Stevie Scott, former Gala player as well, who was the hooker, I think, when Gala won the cup in 1999. And also coming on,
Gregor Collins, I think.
Gregor Collins, yeah, it is Gregor Collins on the far wing. What would be the left wing as Gala are playing.
Yeah. First time I've seen young Sam Scott in the flesh, I think, Iain. He's a big lad.
Yeah, he's been quite impressive, and he's a big unit as well. His brother Luke plays in the inside centre for Hoytlandine. He's been involved with the South District unit. He's been absolutely superb with us. And he's a slight guy as well.
South have lost possession there, and it was taken in by Gala. So here come Gala again, and there's a dummy run on there, and they've got numbers now on the far side, and it's fed out to the man that's just came on. That looks like Gregor Collins. Footwork by Collins. He's going to do well to stay in field here, but stay in field he has. No, that was Jack Niven, and they've scored. They're in at the corner. Ben Gill has scored for Gala. 12 points to nil, and it's been all Gala in this second half.
It has, yeah, and some really good play there by Gala. They've got the ball out to Gregor Collins, who's managed to stay in field. They've set up the ruck, and the South have just basically switched off. They've all gone to defend out wide, and Ben Gill's just picked up and gone straight through the middle and not touched in any way, shape or form. So this is a really good performance by the Gala select, you know. And to be fair, you know, you've got guys like Bruce McNeil, Edmonds, Lockhart, Russell Anderson, you know, Mark Rutherford. These guys have come in, but they've actually played really well. They've fitted in quite nicely, and they've done the right things in terms of how to play. And you know, I think much as we don't like the conditions, they're a bit wet and horrible. It's probably helped that these guys coming in, because it's just been basic rugby, and it's actually been, as I say, it's been a proper game of rugby rather than the barbarian stuff we were expecting, but nonetheless enjoyable.
That kick by Bryden, I think it was, got caught in the wind there. So 12-0 to Gala. 50 minutes on the clock. Charlie Welsh going to get things back underway. Connor Crawley, the young Hoyt prop, looking to make his mark at South level, but struggling at the moment, and that's going to go out on the full. It should have went out on the full, and the try scorer Ben Gill got caught in two minds and elected to catch it. He was practically in touch when he caught it, and could have done with a shout there, Ben Gill, I think.
I was just going to say that they're the kind of scenarios where you're looking for a bit of help with your teammates, because you're concentrating that ball. You're thinking, am I close to the touchline? It would just need a little shout just to leave it, because even if it had dipped and bounced, it was bounced in. Gala got the line out. The fact that Ben played it means that South have now got the line out and can sort of launch an attacking platform, hopefully through the likes of Andrew Mitchell in the centre, I would have thought.
Donaldson takes it at the tail, and that's loose. Knox was on the wraparound, but it wasn't a very sympathetic pass. It's gone backwards though, so they're going to try and launch again here, the South. Crawford to Fisher, runs at his shoulder, Fisher, and there's a penalty coming for the South. So playing with a free ball here to Brunton. A little bit of crossing there, or a bit of obstruction, so they're going to come back for the penalty, and it's taken quickly by Crawford. That's what he's all about, and here comes Connor Sutherland. That's a better carry by Sutherland, but well defended by Kyle Scott, and there's another penalty coming to the South here. Gary Young out the back here, and they've got numbers on this near side. Mitchell, good defence on Mitchell by Young. Seggy but Mitchell takes it up to 5 metres short here. Slack pass, but McKean is in possession, and they're going to come back for the penalty. Quick succession penalties racking up against Gala as the replay comes on the big screen once again. Having a chat now with Segi. Is that for a possibly high on Mitchell, Segi's
Possibly,
challenge?
yeah.
So South have tapped it and gone. Sutherland. Has it been knocked on? Yeah, it's been knocked on, and a wee bit of pushing and shoving now and a few smiles on faces. I think Kyle Scott with a big shot on Sutherland has led to that error, and nothing really going for the South at the moment.
No, it's just been simple errors, and errors you wouldn't expect of a players. That's Harris, Ross, the other Kelso hooker coming on, and just while we've got a wee break in play, as another couple of Gala subs come on, just an update from Loch Lomond Hillsborough. It's now Hoyclandine 27, Loch Lomond Hillsborough 5. The reports coming through, there's horrendous weather through there on an absolutely muddy pitch, but it looks like we're going to have, from a Borders point of view, we're going to have some representation at Silver Saturday on the 25th of April, I think it is.
Your guess is as good as mine on that, Iain. Particularly impressive for Lindeen as well, given they're playing two teams this afternoon.
Yeah.
I'll get my coat. Anyway, back to matters at hand here at Netherdale. It's a Gala scrum, 5 metres from their own line, picked up by McNeil, as we've seen so often over the years, and he makes 10 metres coming up that blind side. Number 21 for Gala's Jack Harrison, the Peebles man, who's on now at 9 as well, to add a bit of experience. And into the air he sends it, and that's going to drift into touch for a South line out as we wait this to be thrown. There's a guy who would normally be here prowling the touchline this afternoon. Happy Stephen Hedspeth, not keeping the best of health at the moment, Happy, so I believe he's not here this afternoon, Iain, but shout out to him if you're listening. Happy, we hope you're on the road to recovery.
Yeah, 100%. I spoke to him on Monday morning and he seemed to be in pretty good spirits. Was expecting to be here today, but there's obviously been a wee bit extra in terms of treatment needed, so all the best, mate. I hope you're back annoying 11 daylight out touch judges and everybody else as soon as possible.
And that, speaking of annoying Sesh Henderson will be annoyed at that, because that's a poor South line out. It's gone forward. Knock on from the line, it is the call from Malcolm Chang Lang. So Gala with a scrum here. Happy would be delighted with what has been on show by the home side, the Gala Select side, bolstered by a few guests this afternoon. Gala Select 12, South 0, 58 minutes on the clock. South 0, that is quite remarkable, given that most of their opponents played National 1 rugby this season. Gala scrum, man that didn't play National 1 rugby, McNeil at the base of it. And that's a wraparound play to a pace man, Gregor Collins, over on that far side. Collins runs into Doug Crawford. They've had a few battles in the Sevens series over the years. Coming at 100 miles an hour there was Robbie Irvin, but he's fumbled that forward and it's gone into touch, so they'll come back for the scrum, and Gala making good headway there.
Yeah, that's just unfortunate. Just a little breakdown in communication there with Jack Harrison and Robbie Irvin. I think if that ball had been a little bit lower, Robbie was gone. He was taking it at a pace that, not so much the physicality, but he was going to be past the defender before the defender realised he was there. But I think the South are going to be fairly disappointed in the way they've played today. So far there's been no spark at 10-12. Mitchell's hardly been in the game, and you'd be looking for Andrew Mitchell, who's probably one of the standout players in Scottish club rugby, not just the South, but he's got nothing. And it's strange because obviously his compatriot, or his club compatriot at 10, Kyle Brunton, you'd expect them to have that little bit of understanding. It's just not come today, but Brunton's off now and Charlie Welsh is at 10, so we'll see if that makes any difference.
Yeah, and speaking of 10s for the South, there's a man along to our right hand side here this afternoon, sitting at the back of this Netherdale stand. How the South have missed him. The Kelso skipper Dwayne Paterson, one of the most accomplished operators in the club game in Scotland, but he's not out there today as Mitchell tries to drag his team forward. There, and that's a good carry by another Hoyk man, Connor Sutherland, who's grown into this game in the second half as he did at Riverside recently in the inter-district game against Cali. Jack Fisher, another involvement for him, and a penalty is awarded high by the youngster Sam Scott, and the impetus, trying to pick up the impetus here, and that's a cross kick by Don Crawford, but it's been gobbled up by a Gala player. That's Jordan Edmonds. Boroughmuir gassed. Fisher to Seggy, and Seggy manages to free the hands to Gregor Collins, and he comes back in field. Harrison, a tip, tried to be a tip on there to Conor Mackay, who's back on for Gala. Bruce McNeil trundles it forward, and Jack Harrison's taken off the ball there, and there's a penalty going to come Gala's way. Another carry there by Conor Mackay. Now it's back with Irvin. Irvin has McNeil on the wraparound. Takes a few to drag him down, and here comes Jordan Edmonds. Jordan Edmonds is off and running here, and eventually he's scragged, and it's been fumbled forward, unfortunately for the Boroughmuir man. And they've made an impact, these Boroughmuir centres, Iain.
They certainly have. I mean, that's just power running and running at the right time and running the right angles. And another few changes coming up here is another old timer from Gala, Luke Petty. Round Chalmers, one of the future, and also coming on at 10 is Rory Wilson. So it's great to see so many players getting an opportunity, and they've all played their part so far, and Gala are absolutely deserving of the lead. They've been more clinical in attack, they've defended really well, whereas the South have just been that little bit off the boil, and they haven't had that real spark you'd be looking for across the board. There have been certain individuals that have certainly played particularly well, but others that maybe haven't stepped up, but they haven't been where you would want them to be.
Yeah, not what Sesh, Henderson and the likes of Scott White, the coaching staff for the South, would have wanted. Mitchell took a short ball there from his clubmate Welsh, who's moved into 10 from 15. Just being told the Gala Sevens draw for next Saturday's to be made after this game. Draws now, I believe, Iain, are made in the presence of others, or representatives of other clubs.
Apparently so. Not really sure what the reason for that is.
I can tell you what the reason for that is. You know fine well what the reason for that is. Will it make a blind bit of difference? It will remain to be seen. We'll know more about that in the coming weeks when we see. Will we see Kelso and Melrose in the same half of the draw most weeks, do you reckon?
Probably not.
Anyway, South line out. Here comes Mitchell again. He's trying his utmost now, and he's made 20 metres there. Mitchell, he's still going. Jack Harrison eventually drags him to deck. And onto that pass from Crawford comes Harris Ross, and Mitchell stabs a grubber through, and that's going to interest the winger on that far side, but no, he's playing with a free ball. Mitchell, there was a South player held back, I think is the call there from Malcolm Chang Lang, today's referee, but it's a penalty to South centre field. Charlie Welsh is going to try and lump this into the corner. Decent nudge by Welsh. Oh, it's a terrible nudge by Welsh, actually. I thought it left the boot, and he was going for the Hail Mary, but it wasn't even close to being anything other than over the dead ball line, Iain, and that's just about summed up the South's afternoon so far.
It pretty much has, and again, I'm very much with yourself singing the praises of Doug Crawford when he comes on. He speeds the game up, but again, sometimes he doesn't really look. So situation there's been a couple of times where the ball was on to be shipped wide quickly, and he's gone the opposite way, and it's just that maybe not looking where he should be going first and foremost, as opposed to, he's really good in that he speeds the game up, and he's got back rows, and he's got the defenders really questioning where he's going to go. But again, sometimes he just needs to connect with his outside backs and give them the opportunity to do what they need to do.
The Gala scrum has gone round 90, then it's sent down the field. It's a going to bounce, and Gregor Collins is after this now. Where's this going to go? He's hacked forward by Collins, and it's a foot race now, and came off the knee of Collins, and he boots it away in a little bit of frustration. But they were almost in there again, and we know all about Gregor Collins' pace, and he showed it on that occasion.
Yeah, that's one thing that Gala have got. Certainly the two wingers that started the game, in Richie Mitchell and Ben Gill, have both got pace. Ben Gill's got a bit of power as well. But in addition to that, you've got the likes of Gregor Collins there as well. So, it comes down to sevens, and we will come to that in the next couple of weeks. There's a bit of pace in that Gala side. That's a great kick-off by Welsh that time.
Yeah, he's atoned for that error. But it's been taken quickly. It was a dropout, so it must have came off the knee and gone to deck. And there's a high shot there, and there's a wee bit of a melee as well. Oh, and somebody's flew into that. Was that Connor Sutherland that's flown into that? Bruce McNeil is in there, obviously. Number 21 for Gala is Jack Harrison. Talk us through that one, Iain.
Yeah, just the two of them are having a bit of push and shove. Connor Sutherland's a naughty one there. There's absolutely no need for him to run in, and if he is going to run in, he runs in and tries to stop it. He's running and shouldered the guy. That was a stonewall yellow card for me on a normal Saturday. I think at the end of the day we're not going to do it on today, but that's the cheap one, is you run in and just hit the guy on the deck. Two of them having a bit of push and shove, nothing to worry about. But yeah, that's the naughty one, coming in for that distance and sticking a shoulder in somebody's back.
Yeah, I think you're right, Iain. That's a yellow on a regular Saturday. Maybe just a touch of frustration from Connor. Well, it will be a touch of frustration because things have just not gone the South way this afternoon.
Absolutely not, in any way, shape or form. They've just not been at the races as well as they should have been, and to me they should have risen above everything that's going on, and I think they've maybe come out thinking they could just throw it about and play rugby, but there has been a few occasions you're watching at them. There's guys, Jack Fisher there has spent most of his afternoon complaining to officials and so on and so forth. Get on and play the game. You're not there to referee the game. You're not there to play you're there to play the game. Do your own job and get on with it. He's been taken away from that, and there's two or three boys that haven't performed as well as you would want them to do, and sometimes that can be part of the problem.
Maybe part of Fisher's frustration is that at times he's kind of ploughed a lone furrow in the South carrying stakes, and maybe he's a bit, the frustration should be more at the teammates that have not taken some of the heavy lifting.
Yeah, but as we all know, what's the point in being frustrated at your own teammates when you can be frustrated at the officials when it's not their fault, and been on the wrong end of that plenty of times.
You certainly have. Anyway, Gala penalty was kicked to touch, so it's going to be a Gala line out in and around halfway, right in front of the South coaching staff there. That's tapped back by Irvin to Lockhart, now in possession. He's been well policed there because he's been impressive since he came on the Boroughmuir centre. Now it's McNeil. There's what left in this game? There's 14 minutes or so. Gala 12, the South 0. The likes of McNeil now in possession again. The likes of McNeil on to see a game out. Oh, and there's another bit of players coming together there. Just the temperature starting to rise a wee bit here at Netherdale. The rain stopped as well, and that's a scrum to the South. Gala caught in possession there, didn't manage to get it to deck. There's 13 minutes or so here for the South to try and claw their way back into this. They've just not fired shots here.
No, they haven't. There's been a couple of ranging runs by Mitchell. Gary Young was quite effective earlier in the game. As you say, Sutherland's just not. We're so used to him being, the real big ball carrier and so on. So he's just not got away with it today. So, it's been frustrating in terms of the South. It must be, because you'd expect a bit more of them. But all credit to Gala.
All credit to them indeed as we wait this South scrum. Gala again just got a bit of a shunt on, and Scott's in there on Sutherland. And yeah, there's some verbals and pushing and shoving, and penalties being awarded to the South here. Just inside the Gala half. Fairly central, so you'd imagine this will be sent to touch. Don Crawford, I think Charlie Welsh has come to the sideline, so it's going to be Don Crawford to try and send it to touch. He's made a better fist of it than the most recent one by Charlie Welsh. It went dead in goal, so it'll be a South line out. Harris Ross the substitute hooker to throw in on the Gala 22. Crawley is coming off. He's going to be replaced by Grant Paxton, who's back on for the South. So who's gone to 10 here?
Pickles, it looks like, I think.
Pickles, yeah, it looks like Pickles. And that's loose by the South. And it's been taken by Connor Mackay, who brings forward. Harrison. Back to Rory Wilson. And that's fed on. To McNeil. Now in possession for Gala. Harrison to Mackay again. He's been prominent since he came back on, Mackay. And that's another good carry by the powerful hooker. Harrison to Keddie. Will Keddie go the full 80 on what we're thinking will be his last outing in a maroon jersey? Little dart there by Harrison. Again, comfortable in possession, Gala. Lockhart. Gavin Lockhart. That's been lost though, and so here come the South on at pace. Now comes Pickles, and it's fed on to McKean. McKean, good tackle on McKean. He had Crawford inside him, wee bit indecision there. Brodie Allen now. Crawford again to Sutherland. Sutherland well tackled as he came onto it at pace. Crawford again to Donaldson, or is that Cochrane that's on? Andrew Cochrane of Selkirk, who's on for the South. Crawford, and they're going to come back for a penalty here. And is that going to be a yellow card? Yeah, the yellow card is flashed, and it's been taken quickly by Crawford to Jack Fisher, and Fisher's going to be in here over the line. He flops Jack Fisher, and the try is awarded, and something for the South to cling on to. It's Robbie Irvin that's been yellow carded, but they're back in the game, Iain.
Yeah, definitely, and again, it's well done. They've retained ball and they've got that penalty, and then it's just been given to Fisher, and he's burst over. But that's another basically butchered opportunity there. Rowan McKean, he's a big, powerful unit. Just go on the outside, attack your defender, and you had Doug Crawford there as well. But I don't know, they've managed to get the try out of it. But to me, there should have been a far easier try scored.
Yeah, it looked like they're a wee bit of a size mismatch there with McKean and Doug Crawford. It is with a conversion attempt. Don't see him kicking all that off often, and that's maybe why, 'cause it wasn't his best effort. 12 points to 5. Gala lead with 9 minutes on the clock, and with the likes of McNeely, and you imagine they're going to try and take the sting out of this, particularly now they're down to 14 men for the remainder.
Absolutely, they'll look to try and slow it down as much as they possibly can. Keep a hold of the ball if they do get a hold of the ball, and then just not give any silly away and do nothing stupid. But South will have a bit buoyed up now, and they'll be looking to try and get things moving as much as if they can.
Rory Wilson takes no chances with the kick, goes deep, goes straight to Hamish Tweedy, who takes it back into the heavy traffic. Here's Connor Sutherland once again. Shortly be to select a Rugby Radio Man of the Match, sponsored by Oak and Black. We'll come back to that, but that's fumbled in the midfield by Sam Derrick. We've not mentioned his name too often this afternoon, and that's an error there in the centre of the park. So Gala will have an opportunity here just outside the South 22 14-man Gala, with flanker Robbie Irvin in the bin. Who's the runners and riders for man of the match, Ian?
I mean, in terms of the South team, Jack Fisher, although a little bit of a dig at him, he's been really good in terms of carrying, as you say, a bit of a lone wolf at times. Probably the only real standout player in the South team. For Gala, Craig Keddie's been in there, he's played really well the whole game. Segi was excellent, as was Kai Jones. For me at the moment, certainly, although he only sort of played for 50 minutes, Russell Anderson was, he put himself about in attack, he put himself about in defence, and he's probably, for a guy who's, I suppose to a certain extent, playing out of position, he was certainly the best of the first half, and certainly for most of this half that he played as well.
Well, here's a player that's been prominent in the second half, Gavin Lockhart. He's made a big impact since coming on, and there's another one, Bruce McNeil. He's had umpteen carries in his cameo. So Gala here in the South 22, where they'll hope to remain for as much of the remainder of this game as possible. Harrison, 14-man Gala, and that's a tidy grubber through. And did Collins get to that? The Chang Langs are going to have a chat. I think a South player managed to get back and get a hand in. And it was carried over by the South. It was a clever kick through, I think by Rory. Was it Rory Wilson?
It was, yeah. Rory Wilson, just a little grubber and just stopped about a metre before the line, which gave, I think it was Tweedy got back, and he'd really no chance other than to carry it over. So, you know, if Gala can get good scrum possession here, get it up on the right hand side, take out the Sam Derrick on this open side, you fancy that the one man is going to be firing right at Ben Pickles, the South. I think it's Hamish Tweedy standing in the standoff position. So, you know, if you're a betting man here, you got to fancy Bruce McNeil for a breach at the standoff in the centre and dotting down to get a try for Gala.
Yeah, it could be Kelso on Kelso if he goes at Tweedy. Harrison, it will be a feed. This could be a key moment in this match, and they're rumbling it forward here. Gala right into McNeil territory, and he's still got possession. He's picked up now, and there's a penalty coming. He's up towards the line. Is he? No, a penalty's been awarded. He was ever so close, Bruce McNeil. So they've got options here, Gala. It's a penalty 5 metres out. Take a wee bit of time out the equation by going to the corner, or they could reset the scrum, and they're going to reset the scrum, and with a man in the binny, and that seems like a pretty smart decision to me.
Absolutely, yeah. I'd stick a wing forward on there as well, as much as anything else to slow Sam Derrick's path out to Bruce McNeil. So go back to the man of the match. I'll tell you one person who's not getting the man of the match, because they're going it twice this season, is Bruce McNeil. There's no danger he's getting the man of the match today, even if he is playing for Gala.
Yeah, Bruce McNeil, he's a regular contender for that accolade, and he could yet find himself on the score sheet, because it's another Gala scrum and it's really starting to move forward again, and he is absolutely in control of it. He's going to pick up here, McNeil towards the line. Is he going to get down? It's been chucked. Oh, it's been flapped back. I think he was just short, and they're going to have a third crack at it, and he's up and he's laughing, and he looks in the general direction of the referee, quizzical look about his face, but doesn't see. If Bruce McNeil thought he'd scored that, he'd be all over Malcolm Changlang there, wouldn't he?
Absolutely.
So he knows he's not.
Yeah.
But he's going to get a third crack at it, and these Gala props are having a field day at the moment. A couple of strong scrums there. Luke Petty, of course, is on. Conor Mackay's back on in the hooker jersey, and Kyle Scott. They're giving their opposition front row a bit of a tough time of it at the moment, and there's 77 minutes on the clock now. It's been fed. That's a better scrum by the South, but McNeil's still in control of it, and now it's inching forward, and he's picked it up, and that's gone loose. It's been dived on by a Gala player, and they're going to maintain possession, but they've lost a bit of territory here. Still got it though, Gala. Fisher digging like a mole at the back of that ruck, and he's gone to Mackay. Mackay's been very good since he came back on. Now it comes to Locker, and Locker, that's a strong carry, and he's dragged to deck by Sutherland, and they're claiming the try there, Gala. Jordan Edmonds it was. Did he have a second nibble at Edmonds? He's certainly looking at the referee, and he's the latest with a quizzical look about him, and it's going to be another Gala scrum. They're happy to take the scrums here, Gala, and Jordan Edmonds making the international sign of the TV screen. We've only seen it once this afternoon. Once is probably enough on an occasion like this, and they're all having a chat with the referee here. Jordan Edmonds still wanting him to have a look at it. He's going to pack down on the side of this scrum. Edmonds, just brilliant to see him back out there after a horror injury earlier in the season, which disrupted Boroughmuir's campaign to an extent. Harrison, the Peebles man. So fourth scrum on the trot for Gala. It's inched in field. It's pretty much in the shadow of the post now, and very little life left in this game. And again, it's just moving forward here, and Bruce McNeil has got it at the back, but it's been kicked forward there, and it's gone all the way around, and they're going to come back for another bash at it, and I think they're calling for a penalty.
Yeah, I think this is a situation where that previous Jordan Edmonds one, you know, as a referee, this is just a mess now. It'd be a great opportunity just to buy out yourself out of that by just saying it was knocked on over the line, or there was something like that. It's a 22 metre dropout. It's one of these horrible situations, as you know you're given the correct decision, but actually sometimes just finding a decision that gets the ball away from these scrums is the better option, but not easy to do.
No, he's done pretty well this afternoon. Malcolm Chang-Leng will come back to Rugby Radio Man of the Match, sponsored by Oak and Black, in just a second, Iain, as we wait this next scrum by Gala, and again it's just moving forward, and again it's going to be taken by the backs here, and it goes to Lockhart. Lockhart's well met though on the gain line. That was strong defence by the South. So Gala through Scott come round the corner, and they're still in possession right at the foot of the posts here. Gala, Petty goes to ground with it. They're going to come round to Keddie. That would be a popular try scorer here. Going to go the full 80, which is a great effort. And again, they're inching forward here. Gala, are they up towards the line? Back against the grain comes Mackay, I think that is. And Mackay takes it to deck. Desperate defence here by the South, and they've somehow managed to come up with a scrum. Was that knocked forward? And that will give us the time, Iain, to discuss Rugby Radio Man of the Match, sponsored by Oak and Black.
Yeah, again, there's nothing been that you would say has been absolutely outstanding. There's been nobody that scored two, three tries. There's nobody who's been making massive breaks. But for me, you know, as I say, Jack Fisher in the South team has carried hard. Probably the one person that has really seemed to stand out from the South team. But you know, for me, the man of the match, sponsored by Oak and Black today, would be Russell Anderson, the Gala, initially the blindside wing forward, who's just put in a huge amount of effort, both in attack and defence, in the sort of 55 minutes that he was on.
Now there's a standing ovation here by several in the crowd, and you can probably hear the rapturous applause as well. An emotional looking Craig Keddie is quite rightly getting his moment in the sun. Great to see that he's been taken off with a few seconds to go to get this ovation. Real stalwart of the club, playing his last game. Great to see. And he's taking the hugs and the back slaps from the Gala bench. Great contributor to club rugby and Super Series rugby in Scotland and over the course of the last decade or so, and the South have came up with that scrum. Now they, let's not forget, can still get something from this game. Fisher, they're going to have to do it quickly, and they're going to have to do it from deep, and they've got a penalty 6 metres from their own line. Gala player not rolling away. So can the South conjure something up? Russell Anderson, as Iain said, is our Rugby Radio Man of the Match, sponsored by Oak and Black. We'll speak to him after full time, no doubt, back in Gala colours this afternoon. Another brilliant servant to club rugby throughout the region over the course of the last, probably up the hill to 15 years for Russell. As Paxton comes over to give Harris Ross the instruction for the throw into this line out. It's going to go to Donaldson, it would appear, at the front, and it's Gala have got a hand in there, and it's been taken by McCrum. No, it's gone forward by the South, and the referee blows for full time. Gala are going to emerge, or the Gala Select going to emerge victorious from this one. It's been fraught, it's been nip and tuck, it's not been the basketball game, the barbarian style game that we thought we would have got, Iain, but for purists certainly it's been entertaining nonetheless.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been a good game of rugby. You know, it's been full on. It's been no, as I said at half time, no quarter asked, no quarter given. And yeah, Gala have stepped up. You know, as a side, you know, they struggled early on in the scrum. it's nice to be able to bring on the likes of Luke Petty and bring back Conor Mackay, so on and so forth. Stuart Scott, Kyle Scott. So they've done a really good job, and there's a lot of guys out there have had an opportunity to play against supposedly better players, and they've stood up, and it augurs well for them. And great to see players like Jordan Edmonds, Lockhart, getting a game and actually having the decency to come down and play for these players and enjoy themselves, or they certainly seem to enjoy themselves. So yeah, absolutely brilliant. Just a wee update while we're waiting for the presentation is that the Hoyt Lindeen look like they're going to go through to the final, because they're now 34 points to 10 up through at Helensburgh. Loch Lomond, which you would suggest probably enough to win them the game, I think.
So there's going to be a presentation here.
Lovely to see so many supporters from all over the borders representing the south, and also so many people down from Gala.
Good win for Gala in the end. Will the South be disappointed, Iain? I think they probably will be. It's obviously it's a proud brand, it's a proud organisation.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's the first time, as you said, that a South of Scotland team have taken on a club team from their own district and they've lost. And irrespective of whether you look at it and say, well, there was 8 guys getting the first game and there was players not playing and they were up against 27, 28 players, so they could change all the rest of it. The fact is that when you look at it in 150 years' time, if we do get to that stage, that it will show that the winners of today's game were the Gala Select 15, and yeah, well done to them. They've stuck in. The tries weren't overexciting, but the tries all the same, and they've controlled the game at the very end with the old wily fox and Bruce McNeil just controlling things at the base of the scrum, and yeah, well deserved.
Yeah, very well deserved indeed for Gala, as the players clap each other through the tunnels. Big squad on show for Gala this afternoon. There'll be a decent night at the club here, I would have thought, Iain.
Yeah, I would think so. I don't know if there's anything on socially, etc. But yeah, very. I mean, they've got that the big tent still going strong, so I'm sure there'll be a lot of old stories across there, and there'll be a lot of these players will hang on, and I thought quite a lot of them that'll be their last game for the season. I don't suppose all of them are playing sevens next weekend, but as we roll into that, it's it gives them a bit of confidence going into the sevens as well.
It will indeed, and what is going to be a big couple of Saturdays for the club. It started with a bang for the home team here this afternoon, because Gala Select have beaten South of Scotland at Netherdale by 12 points to 5.
And another result as well coming in from Loch Lomond Helensburgh. It's Loch Lomond Helensburgh 10, Hoyt Lindeen 34. Congratulations to Hoyt Lindeen, because they have won the semi-final of the National Bowl, and that means they are going to the Hive for a 10 a.m. kick-off in a couple of weeks' time at Silver Saturday. So our congratulations to Hoyt Lindeen, the only Borders representatives on that day. We'll be back with reaction very, very shortly.
This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio.
Borders water, Borders barley and Borders people. That's what makes the Borders Distillery. Working exclusively with local farmers, the Borders Distillery is bringing whisky making back to the region. Our award-winning distillery is open to everyone, where you can meet the people behind the scenes, explore our wash house and shop quality local products. Tour your local distillery and discover the spirit of the Borders. Full details at thebordersdistillery.com. Always enjoy our spirit responsibly. Under 18s must be accompanied by an adult when visiting the Borders Distillery.
If you're hearing this, then so could your customers. To advertise on Rugby Radio's 2 Saturday shows and also the Scottish Club Rugby podcast, get in touch via our website at rugbyradio.co.uk. Advertising and sponsorship packages are available for the whole season or on a monthly basis. Help support what we do to promote club rugby in Scotland using our contact page at rugbyradio.co.uk.
Based in Galashiels but covering the whole region and beyond, Borders Mortgage Hub is your one-stop shop for all things mortgage related in the Borders. Visit us at bordersmortgagehub.com or call us on 01896 807 008. That's 01896 807 008. Borders Mortgage Hub. Mortgages for the Borders in the Borders.
Borders Mortgage Hub.
When it's time to celebrate the big wins, on and off the pitch, choose Oaken Black, one of the UK's leading suppliers of sustainable medals, trophies and gifts. Great moments deserve to be remembered, with custom designs made just for your club, school or business. Oaken Black. Celebrate, acknowledge, inspire. Find out more at oakenblack.com.
With over 30 years' experience in print and embroidery, BE Uniforms are one of Scotland's leading rugby teamwear specialists. We currently supply many great clubs across Scotland and the north of England, offering brands such as Adidas, Macron, Canterbury and BE Sport. We have a specialist teamwear team who collectively have over 60 years' experience in the trade, delivering quality teamwear and finding solutions to the challenges out there. If your club is looking for a new supplier and would like to know more, get all the details at beuniforms.co.uk, proud sponsors of Rugby Radio and Borders Rugby TV. BE Uniforms, your identity is our purpose.
This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio.
Yes, welcome back to Netherdale, and if you've just joined us, you've missed a cracking little game. We predicted probably 50 points for each side early on, but that didn't happen. We got a real full-on rugby game, didn't we, Iain?
Yeah, certainly did. I sort of, not sure what 100% expected, but I was expecting a bit more expansive rugby and throwing the ball about a bit. The conditions didn't help. I mean, it was pretty wet and horrible to begin with, and to be fair, both teams actually decided that they were going to play a proper game of rugby, and it was entertaining for that, and thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah, Robin?
Oh yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it as well. Stuart, I think it. Yeah, I almost preferred the fact that it was it was fairly attritional. It was a proper game of rugby, as Iain said. It could have been a club game. That, and I think Gala will be really pleased, obviously with the win, but just how the occasion has gone.
And I think we have to, really give credit to Gala. There's a lot of young Gala players in there, a lot of familiar faces. So you'd probably say it's about 70% Gala players on there. I mean, you've got Bruce McNeil, obviously, and you've got Jordan Edmonds and Harrison from Peebles, etc. But what would you say was the percentage between Gala players and the rest of the team?
Yeah, it's probably 70, 75, if not more. But, from the point of view of the players that played, there was that element of stepping up. You could see that in some of the collisions, some of the tackles. You watch these young lads, they were going in and they were hitting hard. They were looking at the Jack Fishers and the Gary Youngs and the Sam Derricks and saying, right, I'm going to stick you back in the tackle because I'm playing for Gala. You might be playing for the South, but I'm playing for Gala. And this is a big game for us. This is something that we can put down in history and say that we've beaten the South on our 150th anniversary game in front of a decent crowd. So, yeah, I'm going to get involved.
And Robin, this was a South team that really didn't fire today. Mistakes all over the park. This was a proper rugby match. I mean, we'll have a look at the score line at 12 points to 5 at the end of the day, and people say, well, it's only a celebrating match. But the South went out there to win, and they have lost that record from this century. Yeah,
it's the first time they've lost on home, in the Borders this century. I think let's not forget about the South, that they're a thrown together team. They don't have a great deal of time to put them to structures and whatnot together. They'll be disappointed. I think they've played their part in what's been a good occasion, but yeah, they're Sesh, Henderson and guys like Scott White in there. They would have wanted and expected to have come away with a win. And I think if it had been the South team that played, for example, at Jed a few weeks back in the inter-district, the likes of Dwayne Paterson, etc., would have helped immeasurably. But Gala, all credit to them. They've come away with the spoils, and it's great to see Craig Keddie and I think Michael Angus as well go out with a bang.
Okay, well, Sinclair Paterson is the president of Gala Rugby Club. Very, very proud, of course, in the 150th anniversary, and he's now talking with Hugh Brown.
Sinclair, it's a really exciting day and year for the club indeed, and you got a victory today.
Yes, what a marvellous expedition of rugby. It was unbelievable. We've had some superb rugby displayed in some pretty poor conditions, but it's been all about celebrating 150 years of Gala rugby, and it's been magnificent to have the South of Scotland play against Gala. So yeah, wonderful.
I think we expected it to be a high-scoring game, but in the end it was pretty hard fought, and 12-5.
Yeah, I think a few of them were quite surprised. It was a celebration of rugby, but by God, both teams got stuck in. Some of the hits that were going in were very, very physical. And both teams were definitely up for it today. in some difficult conditions, but they've done really well. It was very nice to see both teams putting so much effort into a game that means so much to the club.
How does it feel for you to be president of Gala in the 150th anniversary year?
Yeah, very, very proud to be the president. It seemed to land in the years I was president. So no, I'm very proud. It's been in my family. The Paterson family has always had a lot to do with Gala Rugby. So honoured to be the president during this time.
Absolutely. Now, next Saturday, of course, it continues because you've got your own sevens here at Netherdale. Always an exciting afternoon. Should be good fun.
Yes, we've got 16 teams coming to the Marooned at Gala Festival next weekend. And again, a lot of work to do during the week to get Netherdale back in shape for it. But it'll be very good. Hopefully the weather will be a bit better next week and we'll see some good exhibition of the shorter game and the 7-a-side game. So looking forward to that as well, yeah.
One of the highlights of today, actually, I suppose, was seeing Craig Keddie for Gala, and probably his last match in a maroon shirt. Yeah, Craig's been a huge servant to the club. A lovely guy. He puts his heart in every single game he plays, and it's just lovely to see him get the man of the match there at the end. Absolutely, and there's a lot to be said for all the many matches he's played for the Maroons, and a good servant to the club. Yes, exactly. He's been there all the way through his younger age group, played for Gala for a number of years, then moved up to Boroughmuir and eventually played semi-pro with the Boroughmuir Bears, and we've been lucky enough to get him in the last couple of years of his career. So, no, a big thanks to CK. He's certainly passed a lot of his knowledge of the game on to the younger ones, and we'll see the benefit of that in the next couple of years. So do you think this afternoon then lived up to expectations? It was billed as a sort of showcase and exhibition match between Gala and the South. Did it live up to that? 100%, it definitely did. I think the weather conditions didn't help. I think one of the things we talked about through the week was both sides that we were going to try and throw the ball about a bit, kind of barbarian style, but that kind of, the weather kind of put a halt to that. But both teams were, with the conditions they played in, they both played remarkably well. Well, it's tremendous that you've had this game, and I'm sure that next Saturday will be just as exciting for the Gala Sevens. We look forward to seeing you again next Saturday. Sinclair, thanks for joining me on Rugby Radio. Thank you very much indeed. Sinclair Paterson, the president of Gala Rugby Football Club, and joining me now from the South, Andrew Mitchell, the skipper. Well, we thought it might be a walkover for the South. It didn't happen that way.
No, obviously conditions played a big part. We've got a lot of fresh faces. Boys obviously haven't been involved obviously over the championship, so Gala obviously they've been together all year, so obviously their structures worked better. We've only had an hour's training on Tuesday night, but look, I'm not making any excuses. Gala wanted it more than us, and that's the bottom line. Yeah, you had a few pull-outs, call-offs earlier in the week, which means that it was a slightly, less strong squad. But take nothing away from Gala. The first 20 minutes, you looked as if you'd scored about 4 tries. We just couldn't get over the line. I know. Gala defended their line very, very well. The hunger was there. Obviously, a couple of mistakes, dropped balls, letting him back in it, and then they read our storm, got us up the pitch, pinned us in, and when it mattered, they took their points and chances. They certainly did, and you got one consolation try towards the end, but it simply wasn't enough, and Gala ended up taking the spoils. Aye, look, Gala deserved it. They were more hungry. They wanted it more for the first minute. But I think the positive for this is there's a lot of boys that have now been exposed to the South jersey, so obviously going forward in the next year and forward 3 years, that's only going to bode well. Like a lot of young players there that maybe would have had to wait a while, but a game like this they've managed to get their chance, and I thought a lot of them stood up and didn't look out of place. What's the difference for you between playing for your club and playing for the South? Obviously playing up in the South, it's a step up. You're effectively playing with the best players in the Borders all shoved into one team. It's something special that hopefully I'll get another chance next year, but you never know. Obviously it goes on form, so from no form next year, if any players are in form this year, that could be your last game you play for the Sioux for another couple of years. Well, hard lines today. It was a good match to watch for the big crowd, but you came out on the wrong end, unfortunately. So Andrew, thanks for joining me. Thank you. Andrew Mitchell, the skipper of South, and now
We're going to speak to...
We've got Russell Anderson, of course, the man of the match, and also, of course, we've got Craig Keddie, who was very much in the running for man of the match, in fact, got the Gala man of the match as well. Of course, Craig Keddie, we want to know, is this his last game or not? Let's find out from Hugh.
Craig, let's ask that question. Is this your last game in a maroon jersey?
I don't know, is the honest answer. I need a surgery, first and foremost, and then I need a long break. I'd say probably, but you know, when you get to refresh a bit over the summer, you see what's on the go and you have a think. But you know, I've got a young family. My daughter's first birthday tomorrow. We'll see. But enough about me.
Yeah, well, I don't know. You nearly made it all the way to 80 minutes, and when you came off, you got a fantastic ovation from the crowd.
Oh, it's hugely appreciated. I mean, I came back to Gala when Super 6 was winding up a couple of years ago, 3 years ago maybe now, and you know, I've absolutely loved being back here. Like, it wasn't like a nostalgia trip or anything like that. I actually wanted to, you know, have a good couple of seasons, play with new boys, and see what the club's about. And I think today, you know, Gala Rugby's, you know, put a great job on, you know, selling out the hospitality, good crowd. Pity about the weather, but days like today are pretty special. So I'm delighted to be part of it. And yes, that was, you know, something I'll remember for a long time.
But you've played for the South as well, haven't you?
Briefly, yes. A few years missed out, obviously, when Super 6 was on the go, so that wasn't an opportunity, but I did manage to play 2 years ago when we won up at Highland, which was a great occasion. So to then play against the South's pretty unique. It was I said before the game, you know, we can make a memory today. Stuart talks about how the South haven't lost on Borders soil this millennium, so a Gala team, select team, have managed to do that. So thanks to guys like Russell coming in, shoring us up, and great attitude, 180 minutes, and we deserve the win.
Would you play next Saturday if asked, do you think, the Sevens?
Absolutely no chance. No, absolutely no chance. So yeah, I might come down with my 1-year-old and have a look, but I'll definitely not be lacing them up, that's for sure.
Well, thank you for all your years of service to Gala, and well done this afternoon, and a win against the South. Great stuff.
Thanks very much, Hugh.
Right, let's speak to man of the match then, Russell Anderson. Russell, man of the match, you must be pleased.
Yeah, no, it's a great win for Gala. It's a big occasion as well. So, you know, it's honestly, I'm fair pleased for the boys to get the win over the South.
Yes, absolutely. Now, the first 20 minutes or so, they were all over you, and you know, how they didn't score about 4 tries, I just do not know.
Yeah, no, we kind of talked about that at the start of the game, how there is a bit of a difference between, you know, the South and playing the national one that these boys are constantly playing, and how the season kind of goes. It's all about, you know, kind of working hard around the corner and working hard to get in a position a lot quicker, a lot more physical. So, I mean, yeah, pleased to say that the boys kind of fronted up in that 20 minutes and we managed to ride the wave there, so yeah.
What was the difference then in the second half? Because, you know, you really... the game changed and you got 2 tries.
Yeah, I don't know, at half time we kind of said that we got a bit of sniff of blood there, and you know, like, and then we actually brought people on like Bruce McNeil and Jordan Edmonds, and boys got a little bit excited as well, you know. So I mean, bringing that kind of class in and kind of boosted the Gala boys to make them play better as well. So yeah, like 1 to 15 on the pitch, played better in the second half. So
150th anniversary of the club, that's special.
Oh, definitely. I mean, look, me and CK here played a small part in that. Like, you know, I was saying to CK before, when I was at Gala, I was only 17-year-old, and we managed to win the Scottish Cup and Border League and BNI. Well, we didn't win the BNI Cup, but we were in amongst the BNI Cup under George Graeme, and what a memories we had. So, you know, I'm hope that the kind of drunks in the bar there are all talking about the good days, like, so.
Absolutely. Well done in being our Rugby Radio Man of the Match, sponsored by Oak and Black. There is your trophy. We'll get a photo of you in just a second or two. Craig Keddie, thank you very much. Russell Anderson, thank you very much indeed for joining me here on Rugby Radio.
And it's been quite a day, hasn't it, Hugh?
It certainly has. You know, it wasn't a high-scoring match that you and I thought it might be, but it certainly was an entertaining one.
And the sun's beginning to come out now.
Yes, can you believe it? After all that awful weather we had early on, the sun came out right towards the end.
And you'll be presenting very, very shortly the Man of the Match trophy to Russell Anderson there. Don't forget, of course, that we are actually back here next week again. And Robin, it's going to be quite interesting. Gala Sevens. It seems such a long time since we had round 1 at Peebles.
It's been a long time. It's been a full
8 months.
8 months. It's been a full season, and Melrose won that one, of course, and I fully expect they'll be there or thereabouts next weekend as well. If numbers at training, rumours about numbers at training are to be believed, I can see it being a shootout again, the series between them and Kelso, Stuart.
Yeah, because Melrose beat Kelso in the final at Peebles. Jed Forrest and Edinburgh Accies, I believe, were the other two teams that got into the semi-final, the beaten semi-finalists. So they'll be there or thereabouts again. Very hard to tell exactly how it's going to pan out, but of course we've got 11 rounds this year.
11 rounds, yeah. The bolted on one at the far end. I firmly believe there should be a lag in Edinburgh, but I didn't see it being bolted on. One thing I was going to say about sevens as well, Stuart, I think it was notable today. Ian and I discussed it briefly at half time, that some of what you'd call the big hitters, sevens players, the Dwayne Patersons, etc., not on show today, and that, read into that what you will.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Iain, who are your favourites? Melrose obviously going to be strong as always. Jed are always good at sevens.
Yeah, I think Melrose and Kelso, Edinburgh Accies are going to be there or thereabouts. I'm not so sure about Jed. I'm not sure if Gregor and Lewis are playing this year. There was talk that was them finished at Jed Sevens last year, but they can always be talked out of that. Dark horse Selkirk depends on who's playing for them. Say they've got some really exciting backs with Grant Sutty, Pickles, Callum Anderson. These guys, if they play, they've got a bit of pace, and the likes of Blake Cullen, Finn Mallon, these type of boys, if they're playing. Gala as well, I don't think they'll be a million miles away. They've got...
They always promise so much as well, don't they? Selkirk as well.
Yep. Well, I think with Gala, you've got guys like Ben Gill, you've got Gregor Collins, Richie Mitchell if he's playing, Sam Smith if he's available. I think Gala will go reasonably well. But again, Melrose and Kelso are the ones that have got strength. I think Rob and I had a discussion. Kelso probably the better starting seven, but in terms of numbers, Melrose probably will have that. If Kelso stay fit, possibly, I think probably Melrose would be the favourites for me anyway.
So from memory, it's Gala, then it's Hawick, then it's Berwick, then it's Langham, then it's Kelso, then it's Earlston, and then it's Selkirk, and then it's Jed and Melrose, and we end up at Edinburgh Accies. Is that right?
Something like that, yeah.
They're there or thereabouts.
Yeah, but it's going to be fun anyway. We're going to have a great time, and of course we'll be back we'll be covering live all the events, so do join us for all that. But that's just about it for today. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage on Rugby Radio. You can watch highlights later on Borders Rugby TV, Gala versus the South, Gala Select versus the South, and on Monday on ITV at around about 6:15. But thanks to the team as usual, Robin Purdie, Ian Hurd, Hugh Brown, Kelly Riddle and Ewen Swinton. We'll be back here next week, as I say, for the Gala Sevens, and hopefully you can join us then. But for now, from me, Stuart Cameron, a very good night.